Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Streamer Rooney. I am Racket, and I am joined with Mendrix. This is going to be a fun day of Overwatch AEL High School. It's a Divisional League play. How are you, mate? How are you? Welcome.
I am fantastic. It's a long weekend coming up. I can't wait to sleep in today, tomorrow, and Monday. And I reckon our players also had an opportunity to have a good rest as well. So hopefully that translates into the gameplay. How are you going, Racket?
I'm going pretty well, mate. I'm going pretty well. I have like this pre-established schedule where I have my hydration, I have some energy, it might be a tea, perhaps to drink
Mm,
during the stream.
a
Once you
tea.
start getting into
Okay.
that schedule, you get in the rhythm of things. I think it's a nice vibe, especially when it's cold in the winter time. It's nice to have a nice like brew next to you, that type of thing.
Well, you know what? We're all creatures of habit and routine. So whenever it's not really messed up, I think we all tend to operate just a little bit better. So I'm glad that even though it is going to be a long weekend, that sort of does mess up the routine. I think just a little bit of change is nice, and you're well and truly into the rhythm.
For sure, mate, for sure. I mean, speaking of things to get into the rhythm, mate. Speaking of things that are fantastic, and
Hmm.
what are we gonna say, Mendrix? What are we gonna say?
Is that
Our
you're trying to nudge me on the side here? Well, I'll tell you
our
what we're going
lovely
to say there,
sponsors.
because we need to. Yeah, exactly. These are the routine that we have every single time we come into the start of a cast, where whatever it may be, and of course, this is all thanks to Acer Australia, the presenting partner of the high school series, who provide PC technology solutions for all schooling needs in the classroom and at home. Predator Gaming, the gaming PC partner who provide high-end gaming focused PC solutions in both laptop and desktop formats powered by Intel. AOC Monitors, the gaming monitor partner who provide the best in-class monitor solutions for gaming and all other needs. Indomie, the noodle partner made with high-quality flour, selected ingredients and spices. A plate of Indomie goreng will certainly brighten up your day. So try out any of these flavors available today from your local grocer or at indomie.com.au. And Game on Cancer, the charity of choice for the AEL, who fund much-needed cancer research projects, with the AEL donating a portion of all student participation fees to this life-saving cause. If you'd like to donate as well, please head to the AEL's Tiltify campaign page.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much for that, mate.
No
And
worries.
that are all the sponsors out of the way. And
What do you mean out of the way? I mean, everything here is possible thanks to the sponsors, mate. So even though
yeah,
even though you're thanking me, I am thanking them.
we are thanking the sponsors, and I am actually a person who pretty much before every broadcast, coincidentally, ends up having Meagering.
Really?
Yes, I'm a really big fan of them, and they are lovely. They're lovely. I'm a big fan of spicy stuff, and their spicy flavor is really really nice. So I recommend that. And one thing that I didn't even notice is that I have an AOC monitor as well. So you're like reading out this. I remember reading out the sponsors for the very first time. Like, wait, I like half the stuff that is on the sponsors I have already. So like, it's a good fit.
I've got an Acer monitor at the moment. My AOC one unfortunately didn't survive a trip, so I'm using that as the backup. So I'm using both at the same time, but I'm planning to replace it soon when I get an opportunity, of course, with AOC, because always happens to be best in class, just like the sponsor said, just not because I'm saying it. Speaking of best in class, though, as well, I believe we're going to be seeing up against SPLC is going to be up against Aces. Have you seen these guys play before?
Yes, a few of these teams they've been quite active, and we're going to get into the games quite soon. And I'm interested to see what we're going to be seeing. And I think especially once oh, yeah, we are actually getting into game. Awesome, that came a lot quicker than I expected. So with both of these teams, I mean, regardless of what team we've been seeing a bunch of Junker Queen. So if
I
you like,
wonder why.
I wonder
I've
why.
been
Yeah.
hearing on the grapevine that the Junker Queen seems to be a little bit more on the overpowered side from what everyone's been saying. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Can you give me a little bit more information to that?
Yeah, so ever since she got buffed, her healing output has just been absolutely crazy. So before, as well, Ana was sort of very, very dominating the meta, and they made a change to Ana so that her sleep is less crowd control on tanks. So this
Hmm.
means that characters like Ramatra, like Junker Queen, they're going to be a lot more free to roam around because that big sleep cooldown is all of a sudden not much as a threat as it was before.
Gotcha. So a lot of the big things are there. We can see that we've got the two teams getting ready and ramped up to go here. Now, typically on this map, what ends up being the game plan for both sides?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very sort of open map considering, you know, Antarctic Peninsula is one of the most recent ones. So I think especially having your hit scans perched up, but I think SPOCA have more of a sort of flank type style, and they've been doing this flank style for quite a while, especially that's in Yada. So looking to get a pick at the start of this fight would be so incredibly important for them.
Speaking of that, we can see Golden Hook at the moment is trying to land those shots in as well. Elite Leopard's trying to hold on the side here. Cynthia's now coming through, looking for a flank, like you said before, perhaps get something there. We'll get a good hit there. Takes Rowdy right out of the game, and this is exactly what Aces was looking for.
Yeah, that is exactly what they were looking for, and now they have control, but that stick does a lot of damage, but Junkie's been very, very durable in this situation, and yeah, I mean, the good thing about SPOCA is they've been playing this comp for so long, and they're very experienced with it, but Aces Overwatch 2 as well, they're sort of playing to the style that they've been having so far with that hit scan, and Golden Hook, especially on those Junker Queen's been very strong too, so good to see that from them so far, but the point's been reclaimed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a look to see at this moment in time, even though it was actually going to be SPLC coming through with those quick kills and getting what they wanted, most of the points has actually gone towards Aces at this moment in time, so perhaps, you know, padding those kills instead of looking for those actual objective points in it. But now we do have a massive pushback coming back here. Golden Hook's trying to force most of the members out. Does fall down in the process of it, but perhaps gets what the team needs to sort of maintain control of the point and actually getting control. SPLC though, still on it for the time being, 24%, and it's pushing up a little bit higher.
Indeed is as well, and ultimates could be potentially used here to clean up. It looks like they won't be doing that for the time being, but yeah, I mean, they are accumulating very, very slowly and trying to push that advantage there too, but I think especially with this matchup, Cassidy is so incredibly important to deal with those flankers, and Cynthia's ends up getting picked off at the end there, but it's a lot to sort of deal with it as well, right? When you have two flankers running at you as a hit scan, you need to make sure you have the peel there, and I think having the Torbjorn turret in the back will sort of alleviate some of that pressure, but time will tell because SPOCA are very relentless with how they run forward and with their setups for flankers too.
Yeah, they've got excellent ult economy at the moment as well. C3PO of Alexion, Rowdy have it up and available for the time being, and they've got most of this point under their control as well. Now we do see Aces trying to get in. Cynthia's will fall in response for it, trying to just get in there at this moment in time. Obviously, it's do or die at this moment in time, or they will be giving up this first round to SPLC.
Indeed will, perhaps, and look at that healing from Junk Queen.
Oh, it's actually nuts.
It is
oh my god.
It is like watching a
That's disgusting. They threw everything in the kitchen sink and it left still alive at this moment in time. Like Golden Hook trying to keep everything in place there, but of course, too much is happening for the time being. They're trying to get themselves back on point, but SPLC seem to have it locked down.
They do,
it's contested.
See how they can deal with this at the moment. The Moira especially going to be very useful in this situation. The high noon zoning off some of the members can do a lot of damage to the Junker Queen as well. A large chunk, but focused immediately afterwards.
Will be taken down as well now. 4-5 at this moment in time. Rowdy very low at this moment in time, is going to get healed up. Alexion now is the next person to drop down, but they're doing a fantastic job just maintaining control, keeping it alive at this moment in time. Seems to be on the play at this moment in time as well. Rowdy does finally fall down. Now it seems Aces is trying to get back control, but the overtime is almost up, and it seems now finally Aces have regained control, but they have a mountain to climb before they can actually claim this round.
Yeah, it's certainly a big mountain to climb, and see that ultimate from the Junker Queen perhaps being used here. Golden Hook ends up falling down there just sort of towards the end of the round, but Shiva cleaning up too, and SPLCA doing a very good job at maintaining the point there. And I think especially when you're doing this Junker Queen type composition, getting the aggressive sort of start there is incredibly important because she's like a tempo character, right? So she gets better as you continuously try to push that advantage, and she isn't the best when trying to come from behind unless she has that sort of ultimate, that mobility to get herself in conjunction with the rest of the team. So SPLCA are very good at realizing that, and they have a unique sort of take with their composition and having that sort of front line with the Junker in conjunction with the flanks. I dig it.
Excellent on that one. So a little bit of a, I guess you could say a bit of a home brew concoction for their team composition, but they are absolutely making it work. Aces need to really pull something special out from somewhere at this point if they want to be able to take it back. We're moving straight back into the point. That seems to be one of those scenarios again, once you, like you said, where they're looking to fall that setup first. And we could see it before Aces jumps onto the point. SPLC was happy to come in a little bit late, and that's really what secured that position, making sure they had everything ready to go. Protected seems to be the case here. We do see that Valexion is now trying to hold that line there, trying to get in through as much damage as possible, getting some good hits with that scan on across afterwards as well. And now we can see though, but both teams holding strong for the time being, just not really giving anything away at this point.
See how they continue to progress
As I say that,
through.
though.
Yeah, I know that's a massive amount of DOT, and still that's a wonderful knife throw as well from the Junker Queen and Roddy. Flanking across on the back line, very, very deadly on that Tracer, but still very long fight, but SPLCA still have control of the point, so this favors them in this scenario for sure.
Yeah, you can tell that having that now that they've got that control nice in place. But that's the thing, Aces now on the back foot, need to get themselves back in. Eagleborn also just taken out, and this is not what you want to have. You want to be having your players fall down while you're on the point, that way you can reset up again, not actually be in a point of retreat while your enemy controls it. SPLC are doing a fantastic job at this moment in time, just really controlling that point, keeping their members alive, really just dipping in and out of that damage. We can see just a nice little drag that just slowly gets them out, drained away.
Nice little support play there from C3 on that Moira, just flanking in the back line as well into the Torbjorn, and this is what they do best of SPLCA with the tempo that they get, but see how Aces Overwatch 2 can perhaps change the swing of this. They have the Ramatra now, so they've swapped off that tank pick, and that ultimate can be so pivotal, but the Lucio ultimate beat has been procced and they're running forward with it.
You can see trying to basically control them right now in this choke. They're trying to get in, but they're being beaten back time and time again, and they're unable to get to the point. We can see Rowdy on that Tracer just continuing to find shots here, in a position just to allow to just unleash as much damage as they want at this point. We can see now, Elliptivity just holding that line, being that tank that needs to be there, or taking most of that damage, but still the point under control by SPLC.
This is what they want to do, especially with the Tracer flanking around the top there, getting the picks at the start. I mean, they are getting the initiative of all of these fights. Let's see perhaps if the Dragon Blade can get a lot of value, because Zintheus in the past has shown proficiency in this. Oh, the Junker Queen immediately eliminated. This is exactly what they needed.
Yeah, it seems to be pretty crazy on that sense there. I mean, look at this. They do get the Junker Queen finally, so the healing might allow them to actually chew through the SPLC team and get some control of the point. We're in overtime, so now it is do or die to get some control back and hopefully climb that 99% mountain that we had from the last game.
And Coalescence is being used as well to chip down at the tank, and there we go, SPLCA. Quite a very consistent performance. I mean, once they had that point, they were just never letting go at it and continuously forced those early fights. And who's going to get player of the game? It's going to be Shiva as Baptiste.
Yeah, very nice on that one. Looking forward to see what some of those players might be coming through in that Baptiste as well. As you can see, just landing those hits, getting those attacks directly afterwards, not missing a beat. You can really see fantastic gameplay here, understanding exactly where the rest of the enemy members may be, and they're just basically dividing and conquering at that point.
That is a support, by the way. That is a support.
I mean, look, even if you're getting the extra damage in the back end of it, getting the kills, sometimes supports can be the carries as well, right?
That's true, that's true. As a person who successfully climbed on Ana as like the position, I mean, actually, thinking about this, I've attempted to climb through several different roles and how Overwatch 2 works, right? You can queue through different roles. Ana was my most successful, and I think being a support player and being recognized is one of the best feelings you can have in Overwatch, because you just sort of, you see the DPS player get player of the game, and you're like, wow, you know, that's cool, but I was pocketing that DPS player as they're continuously diving through the backline relentlessly like a brute almost. You're like the unsung hero, so I appreciate the support getting the play of the game.
So you know, sort of just giving you a little bit of what's sort of like there we go. That's the recognition supports deserve. Okay,
exactly.
They deserve a little bit more love in this. Carries, tanks, they can't do anything. The flanks, they need to have at least a little bit of love from the support in order to do what they need to do. So 100% glad to see them getting something in that sense. Now, going forward here, I mean, what would be the fix you reckon coming across for Aces here? What sort of improvements would they need to make?
Well, Aces were trying to make a few sort of changes with their comps. They added in the Genji, they added in the Ramatra. I think the perk of swapping is finding out the best places to swap and to make the decision really quickly. I think specifically on the format that we're transitioning into, because I believe we're going to King's Row as our next map as well. So spoiler.
Yeah.
So
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Exactly. I think with King's Row you have a lot more room to move around in. It's not as sort of tight as a control map. So maybe if Aces Overwatch 2 they lock in that Genji, they use that superior mobility to sort of kite the SPLCA comp, because SPLCA they're a little bit more tight with the way that they were playing, and although they did have a lot of mobility themselves in their DPS, I think especially with the Genji being able to traverse to the high ground could be a pretty good answer for Aces Overwatch 2. Maybe they transition into a full dive, you know? I think especially on King's Row we've been seeing more like defensive type comps, but I think especially for that first point, you can find angles to try and deal with the Junker Queen to make sure that she doesn't get as much healing as possible. If you just perched up on the high ground and being like, "All right, heal this, you can't touch me," you know, that sort of game plan. So maybe Aces Overwatch 2 can adapt in that way, and I think they've been very willing to change as well, which is good, because you have two sort of opposing philosophies. Teams might sort of stick to their strategy and sort of go with the same thing that they're mid-learning, or they'd be willing to sort of change and be like, okay, what are they doing? Let's try and adapt to that. So I like the sort of way that they're trying to approach this too.
Yeah, one thing I would like to see the process of as well for Aces is they're not making a sweeping change. It's not one of those things where, okay, didn't really work, let's just change the entire team composition. Right. They sort of say, no, let's just swap one out, go for a different role in that composition. Maybe perhaps, like you said, get the Genji in. That might give us a different flavor. That might allow us to actually execute on the game plan. And it's not one of those scenarios where you're just sort of throwing out everything, including, you know, throwing out the bathtub, including the water, right? You don't want to be doing that. You want to be maintaining that, perhaps putting in a different bubble bath instead, and that might give you a better result.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a good point, actually, because changes, there could either be a slight change with having like one specific hero pick, or you could have like a comp change, right? So they're two completely different things. And sometimes when you just change out one thing, you're sort of changing the dynamic of your comp, but in a way that that character doesn't exactly synergize with what you're trying to do. So if you're playing Genji with a comp that sort of wants to go slow and push forward, then he's not going to be the most efficient, because he wants to be with someone to dive into the backline. So we'll see how that sort of style ends up going through. And speaking of, we're about to get into game ourselves, King's Row. This has been a favorite for a lot of the players. And yeah, we've been honestly seeing a ton of King's Row recently. I think whenever the teams sort of see it, they're like, yeah, let's go, let's give it a crack. And it's something that everyone's familiar with as well, right? So that tends to be what happens
one of those
there.
classic maps I can imagine. I think, I mean, looking at it here, look at that, right? I mean, let's just look at the design of it. It is amazing. Like, one thing you can really give Blizzard credit for is putting together one hell of a universe in Overwatch, and interesting to see how they're going to make it work. A lot of different places and ledges to jump into, obviously take control of different points in the high ground. I'm going to be interested to see how they do execute on this. I think you were saying before that it's a little bit more open in comparison to the previous map that we were watching before, so that maybe Aces might be able to have a little bit more of an advantage, but of course, completely different play style as well. Looking to see perhaps if they're going to be able to push that payload in a good way, in a good speed.
And it looks like, from what we're seeing, Aces Overwatch 2 are sort of going for a more defensive playstyle with the Reinhardt. And I do like the sort of Widow hover here as well, because if SPLCA are not careful, then Zintheus on that Widowmaker can get a nice pick at the start there and give Aces Overwatch 2 what they need to push forward. So okay, let's see how they can work that out there.
A bigger change on the back of that, you could say, as well. Yeah. Bringing in the Widowmaker, bringing in that Reinhardt. Reinhardt, one of my personal favorites, obviously a classic true. I love jumping in as a tank, because a lot of players on OpenPlay really just don't want to play tank. I feel from time to time, it's like, I don't want to be the damage sponge. So Golden and Book, you are doing God's work, absolute legend in the sense here. We can see Zintheus hanging out on the Widowmaker, looking for those signs if possible. Now we have the brawl happening in the center of the map, as we are trying to gain control. Have that payload as well. You have Rowdy there shooting from that back, and there's a Reinhardt soaking up as much as possible, but he does go down, and this seems to be SPLC off to a strong start once again.
That is a very strong start, and I think one thing that you really need to be careful of is this Symmetra, because the way that Symmetra works is the longer she attacks a shield, the quicker she's going to be charging up her damage for a weapon. So she's sort of like a ramping damage dealer, so if she ends up getting that stacked amount of damage, you really need to focus her up very quickly, otherwise she's just going to get a ton of value. So Aces Overwatch 2 need to really prioritize that if they find her charged up.
See Lexion being sneaky on the side as well, still not detected for the time being, just looking for opportunities to get little bits of damage out. Has finally been detected, so now needs to just get into the fray of that battle. Immediately the shield is popped up there. AGON trying to keep everyone alive, but will fall down in the process.
And the Sombra is very, very sneaky. I like the positioning here on top of the bus, getting the hacks necessary to make sure that Aces Overwatch 2 don't have a clean way of getting onto the point, right? Especially the slower your comp is, the more of a disrupt that hack can be. And once she gets EMP, then the way that Aces Overwatch 2 are playing, it's going to be massively value, because they don't really have the mobility to dodge it through there. So the Orisa has been swapped to though from Golden Hook, so let's see if that change grants them any success. But the Joker Queen ult is available, and the Baptiste ult has just been dropped too.
We do see there a bit of an all economy coming through, so probably going to be very explosive at this point. There you can see objectives need to be defended at this point. Trying to keep it in line. We can see Vex is now back out once again.
Oh, wow,
we'll get back into a nice little positioning there, just actually getting completely out of combat and getting ready for the next setup.
That is a really unique Sombra spot. That is an extreme worry there, especially with the EMP. Could get a massive amount of value. It looks like Transcendence has been procced, giving Aces Overwatch 2 a little bit of more of an incentive to walk forward there safely, but they don't have that defensive ult available anymore if SPLCA want to engage.
Will use a big move into the center, but I think doesn't really hit the mark there, but doesn't matter in the end, because wow, talk about SPLC still managed to get those player kills off the back of it.
See how Aces Overwatch 2 decide to approach this. They need to be sort of patient.
Same spot again.
Yeah, they are in the same spot. I think they need to perhaps wait for their ultimates to come up and use them together, because at the moment I think SPLC, they favor this sort of pick style situation. So Aces Overwatch 2, they just sort of need to be calm, recuperate, because it's only 60 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, Vex is just doing so well. Holding the backline, still defending that objective. Very tough there. Ace is now on their last stand. They need to get into the center. You can tell they're trying for that final push now. Ultimate's going down. It is an absolute roll at this point.
Yeah, the Orisa ultimate can do a massive amount of damage and get quite a pretty large charge off there as well. But the Sombra in the backline popping off, doing a fantastic job at cleaning through, and the Symmetra once again charged up fully. And only 20 seconds left on the clock. Aces Overwatch 2, as you can see, they're swapping the hypermobility so they can get back to the point quickly.
Yeah, trying to push themselves in as fast as possible, but unfortunately might not have it. They've really got 10 seconds to make one final play, but SPLC looking too strong. Vex has been taken down, so will be a 4-on-1 for time. As I say, that Zynthius and that guy also do drop down as well, so that does mean these knockouts coming in, possibly going to be that overtime that needs to fight something. Shiva's going to destroy a few of those turrets as well, available here. Rowdy holding on to that line there, trying to actually jump up this Lucio, but that guy is out of there well and truly. Talk about a player kill streak, and SPLC with a dominating performance.
Very dominating, and it's a much different flavor of comp that they dominated with as well, right? We're sort of seeing them used to playing this double flanker with the Zenyatta, but now they're playing this more of a Symmetra comp, a little bit slower, so maybe catching Aces Overwatch 2 off guard there as to how they were going to approach it. So SPLCA is showing a fair degree of diversity in their picks as well, which is good to see. I believe we have seen the Symmetra in the past as well, so, but especially on King's Row, right, when you have a such tight choke point to access, that Symmetra turrets can get a lot of value. And when you don't have a lot of range, especially, she can get the most value too, because you're sort of within, a T-Rex arms distance of her, and that's exactly what she would want in that scenario if she's all charged up. So Aces Overwatch 2, interested to see what their adaptation is going to be. Maybe they're doing a little bit of a copycat with the Symmetra themselves. The Torbjorn, they're going for an even more hardcore version of a defensive comp.
Well, let's see if it does play out in this scenario. 25 seconds in preparation. Acers really need to bring out all the stops here if they're going to be able to get something onto the board here against this SPLC team composition. How do you feel it is going to actually play out going forward here?
Well, I think this first fight especially is going to be really imperative to how things work out. I mean, obviously it's going to be really imperative because they don't really have much of a distance to go, right? It's only that first point to get. But I think the Ramatra will provide a great amount of upfront damage and hopefully give them the access to penetrate through. But at the same time, Reinhardt has decided to charge through from across the high ground and surprise Aces Overwatch 2 immediately, and they're already getting the picks through. But hey, Golden Hook with those big fists doing a good job too.
Yeah, you can see they're actually having a bit of a fight put up here. Valexian will go down, looking a little bit different here now for SPLC, who might find themselves in the back foot, which is exactly what Aces need to do. Come out completely strong, all guns blazing, and that seems to be doing the work right now. Perhaps, make the game plan a little bit more chaotic, and perhaps give no opportunity for your opponent to react.
And Golden Hook on that Ramatra is going to be the key, I believe. Especially with that ultimate is so incredibly powerful in the King's Road, because you basically just completely sort of cover the whole point there, especially in this close range situations. And there we go. It's a 1v1 with the big sort of like a boxing match here between both of these enemies, but the ultimates will try and make the difference here.
See, that is going to be 11 falling down as well. Golden Hook and Cynthia is also off as well. The point is absolutely being contested at this point, and there you go. SPLC, they really just found that opportunity, got onto the point, and took control, and that was a quick finish to King's Row.
That was a very quick series in general, and Roddy getting the play of the game with the Symmetra. Lovely job here. Just was very, very difficult to deal with the Symmetra in this situation. There's just a ton of damage. Lovely tracking as well, making sure to provide the deep that the team needed, and even walking over the molten lava. Absolutely great job there. And I think the proactiveness of SPLCA sort of won them a lot of those fights there, and I think Aces Overwatch 2, they were in the back foot. I mean, they opted themselves to pick that sort of defensive comp to try and deal with what SPLCA were doing, but I mean, they tried, and they at least tried sort of different flavors as well. We were talking about that before, like maybe switching one character or like the whole comp. That sort of, it's such a different dynamic, but considering they did end up winning that first fight, right? So they did get a little bit of improvement there, but sustainably winning up against a squad like SPLCA that sort of were a little bit more familiar with that type of composition as well. It was just sort of a grind to try and deal with what they were dealing with there. So it was a valiant attempt. Yeah, it was a tough ask.
But I mean, that being said, this is the whole point of the competition, right? There will be some teams that are a little bit more just up there for the time being, but obviously not for long. Everyone will slowly, incrementally improve. And the whole idea is bringing the entire competition up. So Aces, I don't believe, will be staying down for too long. I reckon they'll have plenty of opportunities to bring it back to SPLC, and I'm sure SPLC will be looking behind their backs to make sure that they do remain as one of the ones to basically be chasing after.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a fun game to watch either way because we did see a variety of different picks, but once again, those tank picks, especially with that Junker Queen, so incredibly pivotal, and just a consistent performance all around. And, well, we're going to go into a quick break, and then we will be back with the second match. So don't go anywhere, everyone. Take care of yourselves. We'll be back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are here. I'm here with my friend Mandrix, and he is sporting himself in Hanamura, an extinct map in Overwatch. It's not here anymore. It's been transferred to Mandrix's background. So there you go. That's where the map's gone.
Look, I had to pay Blizzard a lot of money to get this in the back. Okay, it was a bit of a tall ask, but eventually they relented, and my life savings was gone.
There you go. There you go. Now let's go and transition into the sponsors, Mandrick. So take it away, buddy.
Absolutely. Well, of course, Acer Australia, the presenting partner of the high school series, who provide PC technology solutions for all schooling needs in the classroom and at home. Predator Gaming, the gaming PC partner who provides high-end gaming-focused PC solutions in both laptop and desktop formats powered by Intel. AOC Monitors, the gaming monitor partner who provides the best in-class monitor solutions for gaming and all other needs. Indomie, the noodle partner, made with high-quality flour and selected ingredients and spices. A plate of Indomie Migorang will certainly brighten up your day. Try any one of the flavors available today from your local grocer or at indomie.com.au. Game on Cancer, the charity of choice for AEL who fund the much-needed cancer research projects, with the AEL donating a portion of all student participation fees to this life-saving cause. If you'd also like to donate, please head over to the AEL's Tiltify campaign page.
There we go. Our lovely sponsors there. And, well, Mandrix, mate, I want to have a little bit of a chat to you. So,
Okay, here we go.
I think we also have our maps confirmed, I believe.
So is there going to be any changes that you can think of?
There is a change. I believe
right.
on the first map we have Lijiang. So that is completely different to what we had before. You know, I noticed actually, once the newer maps were coming out, players weren't afraid to just play it immediately, you know? Because some players are sort of like, oh, it's new, we want to just sort of wait a little bit until we're familiar.
I hate change. Change is horrible.
But the players here, they were keen to get straight into it. So I dug that. So I believe we've seen like a bunch of Antarctic Peninsula, which was the last map we were previously on for Control. Mm-hmm. But now we're going back old school. We're going back to Lijiang. So gotta love Lijiang. That's my second favorite Control map next to Ilios as a person.
And why is that?
Well,
why is it number one?
So remember how I told you I play a lot of Ana? On Control maps, I play a lot of Lucio. And Ilios is the one that has a lot of boop spots. So especially like in the map with the well in the middle with a large circle, lighthouse where like there's a bunch of places to fall out across the point. As a Lucio player, you're just really happy to play there. So, yeah.
It just feels right. It just feels smooth just going through that. And I think I can understand it as well. I think there is a bit of a metric to known quantities that people love to have. Obviously, it's nice to have a change, do something a little bit different. But it's sort of that concept. I mean, you know what, I can use like something that's going to make Blizzard very happy, by the way, on this sense. It's World of Warcraft Classic, right? There's a reason why it has a success for it, and it's because people like to be masters at something. They like to be able to say, yeah, I know every aspect of this particular area, I know the lore, I understand the quests, I understand the things that comes into it as well. Can be the same for map picks and map selections. People like to know the peaks, people like to know the corners, the turns, the best places to throw nades depending on what game that you're playing into. And obviously the best places to actually just abuse, or perhaps even find little bits that give you a little bit of an edge that perhaps maybe not the most seasoned players, veteran players will probably, obviously understand, Lijiang Tower, but a truly veteran master will know the best way to maneuver around the map and take advantage of that against the players. And that's something that obviously that I think a lot of players like to have from time to time when they do enter these competitions.
That is true. And that's a unique part of gaming that sort of changed over the years, right? Because we have these services where you're sort of updated a lot of the time, right? Like you have a bunch of buffs and nerfs that are pretty like frequent, right? So if you're a player, you have to be on your toes all the time because, I mean, Junker Queen is a prime example where she was relevant at the start of Overwatch 2, then she got giga nerfed where she was completely useless, and then they've buffed her up again. So if you're a tank player, you're just sitting there like, right, well, here I am again. Pretty much.
Here we are. It's happening again. Not again.
Not again.
Oh, well, that being said, though, we'll be jumping into the map shortly. 15 seconds on that as well. Trinity up against SEC, the Wolfpack. Ooh, I love that particular thing. Sorry, Trinity, I can't give you a howl as a reference there, but maybe we can see perhaps a different force come through, reference to a different game. But that being said there, what do you reckon is going to be the game plan for both of these teams?
Well, Wolfpack, they do have the snipers, so they want to be keeping a little bit more of a distance up against Trinity. They have that wall available as well, so being sure to be keeping away from the Mei, especially at this checkpoint. and you'll be fine for the time being. But Spinek at the immediate start of the fight there gets a pick, so Trinity Esports, their win condition is successful for the time being up close and personal.
Yeah, as you can see both two members of the Wolfpack dropping out will be respawning shortly. Ryoku now is the one that's under pressure, does manage just to survive, just trying to get away with the slither HP. Chisana is the sacrifice though in return, and Trinity will and truly control this game in this moment.
And that is a massive amount of value coming in from the Orisa. And the good thing about this Orisa Mei combo is Orisa can sort of shepherd one of the opposing members into the wall to make sure that they can sort of get stuck on it as well. So if Trinity are aware that, especially up against this choke, Wolfpack might have a little bit of difficulty getting through, but Deadly Kitten with a nice pick at the start with that arrow of Hanzo, that's exactly what they want to see with this comp.
Yeah, they're trying to like push it in now. This is a big problem though, I imagine, with the sniper positions. If they're not really able to start getting some early kills and allow themselves to get into a good spot on the point, they can really just completely get knocked out. But they finally do find some decent kills. They're now on the point. Trinity on a bit of a back foot here. A few more shots coming in from far. They are landing a bit, but obviously not on the mark well and truly. And it does mean they're having to look for a while to get that control back in.
And I feel like one thing we need to point out as well, so Ryoku is on the Lifeweaver, so the new support that's coming to the lineup. Not been very popular. I believe we'll probably be seeing like sort of one Lifeweaver a week. But there we go, the Orisa ultimate has been used, and that is a double. And yeah, Lifeweaver in that situation, unfortunately, has the pull to get out of that, but won't have the sort of cleanse that Karika might be able to use. But there we go, the Joker Queen ultimate. That's huge, but boop, off the map.
That's the worst feeling when you just fall down, literally. Knockout definitely coming into play there as well, but Trinity back in control of the point here. They're going to be holding themselves into this position as well. That was really good, that Orisa ultimate. Really just changed the tides of that situation there and really put Trinity back on top.
Yeah, and Wolfpack don't have a lot of mobility to get out of that Orisa ultimate as well, so can get a lot of value from that. But the snipers are providing a lot of utility getting the picks at the start of this fight, but don't forget Blue Shadow on the Mercy is there to get the resurrections off too.
Yeah, that was actually a really nice resurrection as well. The back end such a free resurrection. I can't use it now. We're actually being died off the side there. So I was going to say it was actually a nice little implementation into the team composition. But Wolfpack definitely doing a good job here. But of course, Trinity are biting back. Does mean the Wolfpack do need to watch out there as well, and still in control of that point, 80% of the way there. Ultimate economy looking very nice for Trinity. They've got two up for the time being. Chisana is the only one holding on the side of Wolfpack for the time being, and we'll see how good they are at utilizing what's available to them, their resource-wise.
And Runaway Train with a lovely pick at the start there too on this Orisa, so relentlessly aggressive, and will have that ultimate because of the way that they've been playing this, and that's going to be incredibly vital, especially at shutting down their snipers as they come in. Speaking of ultimate, the Blizzard is available, has been used by the Mei to zone off the opposition away from the point, and that is exactly what you want to see there from the Wolfpack. But as you can see, Hendrix, a clash of compositions, one that has more of a long range style, Trinity sporting the close range style there too, but getting those picks at the start of the fight is incredibly important. Deadly Kitten did end up getting a few picks there, but Trinity Esports adapting with the Mercy Resurrections as well. So those picks at the start weren't as pivotal as you might have thought, because that member that was picked instantly got resurrected. So I like the playstyle sort of adaptation here from Trinity.
Yeah, I can see that it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for Trinity to make this work. Well, not for Trinity, sorry, for the Wolfpack. But obviously, like you said, it was very crucial at the start of the game for them to get onto the point and actually have that tempo to maintain control. Maybe this time around they can implement it coming into it. Now we can see, once again, the teams are now making their way across the map, getting into that battle here. Do you reckon it's going to do the exact same thing, or we're going to see a repeat result here?
Wolfpack are using the Winston here to try and capitalize on the poke from the snipers, so getting up close and personal to make sure that the snipers do have enough room now. So Trinity, they're going to be being a little bit more pressured for the time being. It will give a lot more space to Leclerc and Deadly Kitten on the snipers to make sure that they can get as much damage as possible. So nice adaptation here from the Wolfpack, making sure that they can have a tank to contest the backline so that the snipers have an easier job.
See Deadly Kitten continuing to fire away, so they can actually land some good, decent shots as well. Doing some good damage there. There goes, can I get a soda? No, you cannot. You're going to be stuck into the knockout side of it as well. Nice big pickups here in the Wolfpack. Definitely doing a good job here to pivot to the Winston. He jumps into the middle of the fray now. Seems to be giving dividends.
And it's pretty tough to play Winston in this scenario as well, because he isn't exactly being hard-pocketed too much, but the Lifeweaver is doing a good job. He doesn't necessarily have to aim on a mobile character. He doesn't have that same sort of problem that Anna has if Winston's darting left or right. It's an auto-lock on there for Lifeweaver, but still, providing a lot of pressure. The Junker Queen swap-up is there to try and make sure that Winston doesn't get out for free.
You can see they're going to be putting a lot of depth into it, but I think Winston has managed to get a free life. Will be able to jump back into that fray once again. Wolfpack definitely showing their fangs now as well. Trinity Esports have to back away, and this Gorilla is literally going ape at the moment.
Literally, eh? Literally. And I think especially...
did you like that one? It was good.
It was very good. It's very good. I'm glad you're not monkeying around there, mate. So.
Hey.
Hey.
What do you see monkey do?
Oh god. Okay, we need to stop there. We can't be going too hardcore.
I think I'm getting a note now from the production team that we're being fired. Expensive use of puns, unfortunately. That being said, Wolfpack continuing to maintain control of the point as well. Winston absolutely running amok as well. Trinity trying to get in, but to no avail. They do finally take down that Winston as well, but once again, Deadly Kitten just popping off at this moment in time, getting some good damage into the mix and keeping Trinity at bay.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job. Deadly Kitten is there for sure, and the Kurtnek as well. The double hit scan combo, well, not the double hit scan, the hit scan plus the projectile sniper is doing a very good job at keeping Trinity Sports at bay, especially on this map. A little bit less, a little bit more room here for Wolfpack to operate, and the Blizzard did get cancelled out there, so nice job there from Deadly Kitten. That was perfect timing. Mercy trying to get back onto the point, and Winston falls off the map, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They won. They won. It doesn't matter that he fell off, okay?
For the cause.
Exactly.
Well, that does mean we're going to be having one apiece, so it's not going to be one of those quick round finishes here, so it looks like we will be getting one more match on this map, and now that we know both teams are here to play, everything's up in the air.
It certainly is, and this map, I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for the snipers to operate. I think the previous one, they have more room, especially across the bridge there, to sort of snipe from a far away place. But in this one, you're indoors, right? And Trinity Esports, they might be doing a little bit of an adaptation on their own. The Doomfist, the Reaper, the Kariko, they want to fight fire with fire in terms of dive and go ultra aggressive themselves. So interested to see how this dynamic is going to go. I particularly do like the Doomfist into the Winston, can counter dive if he needs be, and there we go, using that tool effectively.
Yeah, you can see jumping into it as well, so a nice little pivot there. Actually more of a pivot. Seems to be a completely different change of turn in terms of what they've decided to bring to the table here. And you can see Trinity Esports not as quick to the plate as they were in the previous map as well. It is going to be a nice back and forth between both these teams as well as they've been throw it out. Ash going very slow. Needs to be okay. Will be healed up. So everything's okay in that sense. And now back to a back and forth between both these players. Now Winston, the one after trouble, will get knocked out. And it seems now the floodgates have opened. Deadly Kitten almost getting pushed away as well. But Trinity saying, you know what, get out of here, we're taking this point.
Yeah, they certainly are, and the Doomfist is diving straight into the backline and does have that sort of support there from the Kariko too, and that's a lovely punch into the wall, doing a fantastic amount of damage to try and chip away at the opposition. And Trinity Force doing exactly what they want to do with this comp, be very, very aggressive, cause the pressure to run through, and the Doomfist, especially on this map, actually is very, very strong because it's very, very close range and you have a bunch of tight wall positions for him to get the crowd control on.
And that is working quite well for the game plan as well. Blue Shadow stunned and Blue Shadow gone. Unfortunate in that sense there. Here we go, Wolfpack in to fight back just a little bit as well. Of course, that was doing a fantastic job holding back that line, but now it seems to be falling apart and the Wolfpack are biting back.
And this is a nice draft adaptation here with the Ramatra as well, and they didn't really need to use much else, right? The Ramatra can just be used on its own and will grant you that fight win. So Wolfpack still have 4 ultimates available here, right? Trinity do have some available for themselves too, but I think Wolfpack, especially with the Dragon Strike, have the opportunity to engage us very quickly, and the Bob to try and make sure that Trinity don't get through for free.
Yeah, it seems to be them dealing with Deadly Kitten though. Has been wiped away. Now Ash seems to be the focus also out of the mix. Latsurican needs to get out of there. Chisana, Roku, and Jeff are doing their best job to hold this position here, but Trinity are fighting back and doing a vengeance.
Yeah, Trinity with a lovely flank there from Can I Get a Soda on the top of the high ground. Doomfist used the Meteor Strike and ends up sniping through on the platform. Well played there with the positioning and trying to get another Ramatra off. This Ramatra off could possibly end up getting them the win back because it's going to be very pivotal with that AoE damage too. Ends up getting it through, and the Doomfist narrowly survives for the time being. Still has a lot of mobility to use.
Yeah, he's getting right on out of there as well. We do have the Reaper back into the action, but can I get a Shota has been also back into it, but Runaway Train was the one that was actually taken down as well. Now we do have the Wolfpack just maintaining position for the time being, push themselves into the lead. So they're going to be their percentage, though, still not that far in their favor. And Trinity Esports, they're making their way back into the pitch. They're ready to bat themselves up for the next round.
They certainly are, and the Reaper ultimate will be very, very useful, especially up against a squad if they're grouped up. But there we go.
Jeff down, Sana down as well. There it is. Look at all that coming on through here. Trinity Esports getting themselves back in control, and they're back in control.
And the boop.
Oh no, not the boop.
That just happened.
Yeah, I think that actually be unfortunately is actually going to be the scenario here where it might can't actually just fall down at these pivotal points. Literally.
No, you can't, literally. And the Ramatra ultimate still has the opportunity to be used here as well. Of course, the Joker Queen, those tank ultimates are going to be the most pivotal cooldown to use here. Which one is going to top out here? The Reaper in conjunction, making sure to maybe lob that matchup a little bit more in the favor, but still, there we go. A little bit of a peace sign, and Wolfpack managed to reclaim it, and they still have resources left to use as well in Deadly Kitten with the Dragon Strike. Maybe as Trinity are coming in, and they're going to have to come in, right? Because they don't have much time to get onto the point.
They've got no choice yet. Yep. It's do or die at this point. It's probably going to be die, especially when we do see that Dragon Strike come out. Maybe they can get a pick onto Deadly Kitten before it is actually put it in submission. Ryoko as well seems to have to use that ultimate, and it's going to come out as well. And everything now is on the line here for Wolfpack, and they are maintaining control well and truly. 3 members knocked out for Trinity, and that is all she wrote.
Lovely job there from the Wolfpack. That was our most competitive game so far, and it was absolutely great job from both of these teams swinging back and forth, and Runaway Train ends up getting the play of the game on the Orisa.
Yeah, and that is a really good turnaround as well, as we can see here. That was, I mean, we saw that the first time on the map. That was filthy, if I had to say. If I was on the opposing side of that, I'd be like, broken, the banner is the next, get rid of it. That would have been my thought process on that one.
Yes.
We have that sort of thing come through and just wipe away 3 players in a near instant.
It can be a little bit frustrating, right? I think especially with Overwatch, when you get eliminated so quickly. I mean, even the likes up against a sniper, right? I believe, Blizzard changing their design philosophy with, making Widowmaker's range a lot shorter, with making Hanzo's one-shots more inconsistent as well. So Blizzard are really making a stand to try and make sure that one-shots aren't like as common anymore. So interested to see how that pans out, because of course, they're really keen on releasing new characters throughout the seasons with the pass available too. So yeah, keen to see how that goes.
I mean, look, I would hate to be the person that's, obviously put a lot of time into these characters, like one-shot capability, and then it's not as consistent as it used to be before. But at the same time, where's the counterplay, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's cool to be a glass cannon, but you sort of achieve the same result if you nearly kill someone. Like, if you nearly kill someone, they're not going to turn around and then chase after you. They're most likely going to, like, turn tail, run, recover, then come back, which would be the same sort of scenario. But it just feels better when you're that player that gets to run away. At least you feel like you're doing something against that sort of power. And when that is the end result anyway, I feel it is probably the right way about it. Even though it can be annoying if someone is like, hey, I played this well. I got the headshot. I got the, I'm the one that's supposed to be a glass cannon. I should feel those kills happen. I feel like it is, as long as it's not 100-0, right? That's the big thing. If they've been sort of weakened a bit, they're down to 85% HP, they land their headshot. Okay, yeah, fair enough, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's in line with their sort of design philosophy with making crowd control less apparent. So if you make crowd control less apparent, which is not a very interactive mechanic, crowd control, right? Because if you're stunned, you can't do anything. In the same vein that if you get one shot, you can't do anything. So Blizzard are at least sort of remaining consistent to their values and that sort of stance. And
Def is the ultimate form of CC, let's be honest.
exactly, that is that's the best CC you could have if you just eliminate it out of the game. So yeah, I mean, Blizzard taking that into account too, which is good.
Definitely the case there. Congratulations, though, coming across there, the Wolfpack, turning it around as well. Pretty impressive in that sense. But Trinity Esports, they may be down, but they're not out. Looks like we do have the next map coming up through. Am I correct in assuming it's Hollywood, or is there going to be a quick change in the back end that makes me look a bit silly?
I believe it is Hollywood, which excites me. I really, really like Hollywood, and
What, is it because of all the stars?
I like Hollywood for the reason of having a different map to look at. You know, I'm a fan of when I'm commentating a series, I get to see like a variety of different maps. And when I'm a player, like I like to play a variety of different maps too. You know, like you get a whole diverse, different experience because Overwatch is a pretty different game. You know, in relation to the maps. You know, for Control, for Hybrid. They're a lot of a different vibe, so I do like that we are getting a different taste of the game in Hollywood, and maybe it perhaps means we get different heroes, because that is the nature of Overwatch once again. Different maps.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Different map, different strategy. That would sort of be the play into it. I personally really like that look of the snipers. I don't think that's something that you typically get to see too often in competitive play. I feel like, you know, it's one of those scenarios where it's like, if they can execute, looks really good, looks really amazing. But sometimes, I mean, there's a reason why the dive comp is considered to be like the bread and butter, relatively easier to sort of execute, able to do what needs to be done. But I could be talking, you know, a little bit out of my inexperience right now. What's your feeling on that one?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of is dependent on the map, I suppose, and I think dive comp is so reliable because if you are in this sort of scenario that we're seeing with this massive amount of high ground, you have more flexibility and ways to engage, because if you're playing that Junker Queen, if you're playing that Ramatra, even though theoretically you're very, very overstat and your character is incredibly strong on their terms, if you don't play on their terms, hence if you're a dive comp you're not going to be near them, then you don't get that amount of value anymore. So I think dive is a lot more flexible, but in saying that, when you have heroes that are just that incredibly strong, if you make one mistake up against them, like say the Junker Queen for example, there is just that much of a high in terms of that potential, then the disadvantages of your comp don't matter as much. So interested to see how that's going to potentially play out, because it does require like a fine amount of execution, right? Being a dive comp, kiting around the opposition and making sure that you don't get hit. That's why a lot of teams tend to play that more sort of slow, methodical style of that sort of Junker Queen, or like the Reinhardt, say, for example. It's very intuitive. You just want to play slow, get some poke through, play for your shield. It plays itself.
Yeah, as soon as the doors are open, you can see the abilities being flung out there, all of those range attacks coming through. Of course, that correct as well, so we can see a little bit of a different play than normally is with Reinhardt now on runaway train as well. As shielded up there, we'll be holding that position for the time being. Of course, we have that mercy back there. Oh, sort of work. Actually, no, wait. No. I was looking at a different person. I was going to blue chat up.
That's fine. You know how it be in Overwatch sometimes. It can get a little bit crowded, especially when you have 10 people sort of right next to each other as well. Just brawling very, very close. With Reinhardt compositions nonetheless as well, so more of a reason for everyone to be grouped up. So, I mean, you sort of need to be careful in this situation up against the likes of a sniper. I mean, Deadly Kid, we're very, very familiar with that situation by playing the Hanzo. So, just making sure not to get poked out here. But I believe they've already got the point there. Yeah, they managed to snag it out from Trinity Esports in that situation, and that is... Oh, sorry, no, Trinity Esports ends up getting it themselves, so you have Shatter as well. That is exactly what they want to see.
A number of knockdowns going as well at this point in time. Runaway train, though, will be found in response, but Sun, I reckon, need to bring themselves back into position. They do manage to get Mushroom, which is nice as well. So even though they've got that point going, that's a big thing, right? Like, even though you're finding kills, you're trading across there, the fact of the matter is the payload is improving.
Yep.
As well, we can see that Candy actually has that ultimate available, so does Jeff. So could see a trade coming through from that shortly, but in the meantime, I think Trinity's quite happy with the response.
Yeah, they certainly are. And I like the sort of use of that symmetric teleport to give the Junker Queen the mobility to flank in the backline, but immediately Reinhardt charged, so Wolfpack doing a fantastic job at scouting that out immediately, and Jeff getting immediate value.
And look at this, a lot of damage coming through from the Wolfpack as well, but we can see Trinity have their members falling down. Spinac as well needs to get out of there. Very low on that HP, needs to recover if possible. Needs to do that. Never mind, recover it. Sometimes the quickest way to recover is, of course, just get knocked out and respawn. It seems to be the case here as well. The ultimate still haven't been used here by Kanji, but obviously Blue Shadow has theirs available. Sana, Deadly Kitted, Lassie, Rogue. That ultimate economy is absolutely disgusting at the moment. They really do need to find a key position to use it so they can stop this payload.
Yeah, you're completely right. Contesting that payload is going to be key. The May Blizzard will be used, but I think that was a pretty good Kuriko cleanse, actually, making sure that the initial freeze didn't come through. So props to Mushroom for using that cleanse there, and it was a very, very good job at negating the engage for the time being. But still, Wolfpack with enough follow-up afterwards and enough zone control to make sure that even though the cleanse was very, very pristine in that situation,
it was effective, but unfortunately the damage was done, right? That
exactly.
was the scenario that was put in place. Very well done there with that Blizzard, and Wolfpack jumped on the opportunity and capitalized, even though, of course, there was the appropriate response. Trinity, though, they have their ultimates ready at this point as well, but not discounting what's going to be available here for the Wolfpack. They still have a lot there. That is just absolutely disgusting then for looking at and say, so they're going to have that as your foothold for the time being. Lazarat's going to be taken down as well. Nice little trip up there, and this is going to be the other bit of chaos.
Very, very chaotic indeed, and the Junkrat Riptire gets a double there, and that ability certainly thrives in the chaos for sure, especially when you're trying to focus down an enemy and all of a sudden you have a tire right behind you and boom, you're gone. But hey, it is time for the payload to move.
It is definitely a move. Trinity want it moving at this point in time, and I think they're quite happy with the scenario that they managed to unload their ultimate to get the kills here and obviously take control, but I just actually see it moving. Here we go, finally it is. Maybe a bit of miscommunication there by Trinity to get it up and rolling. Well, actually just waiting, of course, for the point to load up. But it does mean that Wolfpack have recovered. They're the ones now with more ultimates on their board. Let's see how they use it.
Indeed, see how they use it. Being proactive in this scenario would definitely favor them. The Mavor is getting a massive amount of value, especially in conjunction with Deadly Kitten, making sure that they can get easier shots available as well. A nice low econ sort of investment there. And all of a sudden, I mean, the momentum from Wolfpack is being very favored in this situation, especially considering they haven't really need to use anything. But Shadow there, Jeff, maybe looking for the play of the game in that situation.
Yeah, it looks like he might be able to actually come away with it as well. We can see Lassie trying to chuck down a few members there. Teleport there, nice little, just, you know, I guess you could say presence of mind to realize that there was going to be a move happening. Kanji trying to get away and stay alive relatively, will manage to get around the corner and out of harm's way, but of course that means being pushed back. Now as we look here, looks like the choke is now going to be the next point there. Nice little wall there just to stop things from coming down as well. At this moment in time, the payload has stopped moving, still waiting for one team to really gain control of the area back here. Looks like we have some action happening.
Certainly some action happening, and this is when the Blizzard becomes a very, very powerful tool. Lifeweaver trying to avoid the sort of line of fire for the time being, but it looks like Trinity, yeah, they're doing a very good job considering the ultimates used.
Yeah, they managed to push through well and truly, and that's actually really unfortunate here for Wolfpack. They're the ones actually expending the resources but not getting the result. Trinity now back onto pushing this payload. They're going to be very happy now with the length they've managed to push it to. Let's see how it goes. 34 seconds left, I believe. No, never mind. They've made it to that next spot, so there's a little bit longer left to go. And now it's going to be rough here for the Wolfpack as they do now have to deal with another set of minutes here.
Indeed will, and the flanking Reinhardt Jeff has been really, really aggressive on this pick so far, and he does have the Lifeweaver to pull him back as well in case he goes too deep. But there we go, the Earthshatter, lovely job and being very proactive at this choke point.
And we can see Trinity once again now going to be the ones on the back foot. Jeff there as well, holding the line there. Chisano though will be picked off. Roku also in trouble. A lot of damage coming across. Trinity fighting back with a vengeance brings down that Wolfpack, and now they're saying, hey guys, we're pushing this payload once again.
And let's see if they can get some positional value as well. Yeah, looking to get on the high ground. Did manage to fall off there, but has the wall climb to regather themselves, even though they're having a little bit of a trouble there with their parkour skills, but still, they do have the opportunity to get a little bit of a better position that Mei will use to try and get the pick off as well, but the Kiriko cleanse has been so incredibly pivotal in saving some of these characters.
Absolutely number work there. Blue Shadow seems to be the focus here for Wolfpack, but will get around the corner. But now look at that damage coming on through. Last Tech coming huge, getting a number of kills in the back end. Trinity being taken down. That payload has been stopped. Did manage to get a few extra point meters out, but the Wolfpack now will hold the line.
There's only 30 seconds left on the clock in this situation, so really need to start making those decisions quickly. And Trinity, they do have a large amount of ultimates available, so this is exactly when you want to be seeing it, when you're on your last legs. But the pick at the start of the fight by Jeff on the Roadhog.
Grab there as well, managed to bring everything in, but it will be a trade. Ryoku now is the one falling down here. Trinity, they are now using the majority of their ultimates to get this payload pushing well and truly. A couple seconds left on the clock, and they do get the overtime, which is very nice in that sense. They're going to continue to push it through, try to get it towards that very end if possible. And I think they might get there, but they look like fighting back that last little push.
The whole hog in this situation is so incredibly powerful. May not be the most powerful ultimate in this situation in isolation, but in this situation it's fantastic to try and push the members off to the point, but still everyone is continuing to recontest. Speaking of powerful characters in this situation, the Junker Queen getting a bunch of healing. She's almost immune at the moment with the amount of lifesteal and the bleed procs that are going on right now.
Yeah, you can see it's really doing so much work. Trinity continuing to push this line, and it looks like they've managed to get it towards the end and complete the round.
There we go.
Shadow. Still getting hit at the end there.
Yeah. I mean, that was quite intense. That was very, very intense. And especially when you have comps at a really, really close range on that final stretch, then you start to see chaos. You start to see, you know, players a little bit confused as to who to focus because everything's sort of happening at the same time. And when you're in a situation, especially up against the likes of a Roadhog, where you're very prone to getting sort of one-shotted, right? You need to be cautious of your positioning. But at the same time, you know, when you're in that chaotic environment, that is when Junker Queen thrives, because all of a sudden she can get her blade proc on multiple people, get the stacks running. And when you're trying to focus down that tank, it's going to be very, very difficult because you have her self-sufficiently lifestealing, and at the same time also has the support of the healers. And if she doesn't necessarily need the help of the healers because she's self-sustaining, that means the healers are keeping the DPS up. So you have that sort of resource management sort of dilemma, and when you're in that situation where chaos is erupting, then you need to make that quick, snappy decision as to who to focus, otherwise you're going to be immediately punished.
Yeah, and you can see that what happened at the very end there as well. And you can see it's a bit of a rough spot. I mean, nice open ground, nowhere to really hide. Everyone's trying to sit onto the point as well. You can't actually be playing that one in a spot where you're going to have some sort of structure and control. It is literally going to be all-out chaos, and that's exactly where that Junker Queen decides. But we're jumping back into the action as well. Chaos, speaking of it seems to be really pushing this game to the limits as well. But now we do have the members that just need to back off a little bit as well. Ryoku doing their best to keep everyone well and truly at this point in time. Here we go. I think the look, the action's just too much, right? Stream to handle.
It's too chaotic.
We're still here. We're holding on for this point. But hey, it's a very pretty blossom there, don't you think?
It is a very pretty blossom. It is very, very pretty. But
it's got like a helix on it as well.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I mean, I know you've. Here we go, back in the action. All good in that sense as well. So that being said, here obviously nothing's being pushed out. Black screen, beautiful as well. How do you feel about black? Right, I feel like sometimes you do need to have a bit of a blackout in life. And in the game as well, just to sort of get yourselves in the right position, the right state of mind, and I think we're back.
Just a little bit of course, but I think we are back for now, yeah. Just a little bit of technical difficulties there, but we are back. I mean, as I've been saying, mate, with the amount of chaos that's been happening, clearly a little bit of performance issues there with the amount of abilities being chucked out too. So.
Oh my lord. This is like the worst corridor to ever walk through, to be honest with you. Everyone has to come through. That seems to be the spot. Even the Dragon Strike would be pretty painful to try and walk through. And looks like we can finally say, okay, Wolfpack, think they're on control of the point. They want to get the position moving, and this might be their final point. And finally, the payload is being escorted.
It indeed is, and see if they can perhaps look for the room that they want. This is a little bit of a problem here for the Wolfpack because they don't exactly have the mobility to navigate through the high ground. They do have the Lifeweaver sort of step pads to try and contest that, but that's going to be the tool that they're going to be relying on, and if that's down, then they might find it a little bit more difficult. But the Abyssal Ultimate, that is a huge one, but I don't think it gets any eliminations, but quite amount of damage either way.
It basically did what it needed to do, so it just stopped them from actually maintaining that point for the time being as well. It was well executed, but like you said, didn't find a knockout, but at least did indeed. Now at this moment in time, we do have them continuing. The payload has finally stopped moving, so that's unfortunate. There seems to be, I think at this time they're finally back there. It's moving little bits at a time, so Trinity just can't get in. Wolfpack still controlling it for the time being, but now that they've managed to actually wipe out a number of players here, Trinity might have a chance to actually get that point where it has stopped.
See how they can perhaps... Okay, there we go. Wow, that's a lovely shot. That is a lovely sound.
Yeah, I know. It felt right for some reason.
The shot of the Cassidy headshot is just makes me happy, and that is a lovely character to get a headshot on as well. I mean, Orisa has a very large headshot hitbox, but she does have a large amount of damage reduction. But the Bastion ult was being used to try and zone some of the members off here. But once again, especially on this point, you want to keep an eye on the snipers. Deadly Kitten will get a decent amount of value on this Hanzo, especially if he decides to take care of that high ground situation to make Trinity Esports sort of have to work for their room.
Yeah, I agree on that sense as well. Taylor has stopped moving as well for the time being. You can see it both out. Jeff trying to obviously make control of the map there, taking up as much as possible, but Deadly Kitten has been picked up there, which will actually be going down as well. Now it's going to be Mushroom and Panther end up finding a knockout hit. Here we do have the point, and I love how all the members here aren't, just they are shifting their focus as those picks do come out from time to time as well, and he's keeping this a very competitive series. That's
true. There has been a lot of adaptation between both of these teams, and the Junker Queen ultimate did manage to get a lot of value there, especially with the Zarya shield. So well timed there from Jeff. To very good tank performance so far. And we'll have the Graviton Surge saying that they have the ultimate available. Looking to use it immediately, gets a couple of members, and that will grant them a fair amount of space so that they can continue to push forward on the payload.
Stuck in place, the ultimate's coming out as well. Deadly Kitten still yet to use them. Theirs is actually just finding the kills regardless without them. Really nice hits there. It still has that Dragon Strike available. And this might be securing the win off the back of it because they have got a bit of free room now to really push that payload on through.
And look at this adaptation, Mendrix. Both teams have swapped onto the Ramatra because of how close range this point is at the moment. So they just know one Ramatra ult can just win them the game outright. So both teams swapping to it so they can potentially get that to net them the win.
Oh, nice big hit there. Tracer being knocked right out. Deadly Kitten definitely being as deadly as possible at this point. But here is some nice plays off the back end from the Wolfpack. Trinity do throw out a few ultimates as well, perhaps not really finding the marker they wanted to, but is holding it back to the payload. No, the payload's still moving. Tracer's trying to get as well. Spinac is using it as well. He's going to have to get on out of there. Blue Shadow has been wiped out, and that is the payload push well and truly to that point. That round 2 is complete, and it looks like it is going to be going the way here now. Well, I'm trying to look at this time remaining here. That's pretty impressive there. I mean, okay, what's your feeling on this? Like, how do they come back here? How much do they need to win by to really take this next round?
Well, it's tough. I think if you're in the situation, you really just need to go all in. I mean, you don't have any time on the clock there opposed to the 2:33. So you want to have a composition that immediately sort of comes online from the get-go. Because if you attempt to try and scale up, you might have that sort of issue of, okay, we don't have a lot of time ourselves, and they can just push through freely. So you want to have as much power up front as possible. And I think Trinity, they sort of realize that, right? They have that may and that sort of has been working for them a little bit there with what they've been operating with, and that Orisa ultimate has been netting them a lot of value too. And in conjunction with the Mercy damage boost, that's all of a sudden you can be getting some more one-shots with the Orisa ultimate. So they're looking to get ultimates up really, really quickly to dissuade Wolfpack from having as much value as possible. But Wolfpack also have a sort of similar philosophy, right? How we were talking about how useful that Ramattra ultimate is. They could pretty much get one Ramattra ult and secure this point, because Trinity don't have a lot of tools to stop that Ramattra from coming online. So keep an eye on Jeff being pocketed there from the Ana, and of course their hit scan partner in the Kerpnek and the sniper of Deadly Kitten too. So Trinity really need to make sure that they can pressure this check to make sure that the snipers don't get any room.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out now. We're at left on this clock here. Looks like really need to get this push going, and it will go the way of Trinity at this moment in time. So let's see how we are. Well, Trinity actually, sorry, actually had that wrong. It really needs to be Trinity that get up there and make this work for them. Otherwise, Wolfpack will be running away with this. Having a look now to see. Nothing too crazy happening overall with the action.
Yeah, I think Wolfpack just trying to sort of gather their bearings. They swapped to the Winston as well. They just wanted that immediate power, right? Diving into the backline, because they realize the supports are doing a bunch, so they're going to be using that Winston to try and zone off to make sure that Runaway Train doesn't have the pocket anymore.
Winston jumping into that action once again. Mushroom taking quite a bit of damage to be pulled up. Vinek and Ash might be close to going down. There goes Blue Shadow. There goes Vinek. There goes the whole Trinity team at this moment in time. All they have left is Runaway Kitten, and that is going to be a clean sweep here from the Wolfpack. And wow, that is a dominating performance.
Very dominating indeed. It was close, of course. We went into that overtime situation where, you know, we had to settle on that first point, but at the end of the day, Wolfpack, they had the winning condition in mind with the Winston, dove the supports, and Jeff with the play of the game. Just an all-round fantastic tank performance here from the Reinhardt play, and pretty much wants to secure the play of the game in this situation, followed up by the Earth Shatter. He knew it was in this play of the game. Knew it was going to happen and sealed the deal. But lovely performance from both of these teams. Definitely our most competitive series of the day so far. And congrats to both of these teams, because that really could have gone either way for sure. And just those little moments in Overwatch, they can sometimes win you the game, or they can sometimes lose you the game. It's just that split decision making, right, that Overwatch has.
Absolutely a game of inches, right? Mm-hmm. That idea is that at this decisive moment, that really is what dictates what's going to be the result of the game, and that was definitely seized by the Wolfpack here. Not saying Trinity didn't have those options as well, but sometimes you're not the one that has the opportunity to capitalize on those moments. Maybe the next time that Trinity do jump onto the pitch or jump onto their maps, they'll be able to actually come out on top.
That's true. It was very, very entertaining, but don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to be having a small break, then we'll get into our third match. So take care of yourselves, everyone. Make sure to keep hydrated, and we'll see you very soon. Hello, everyone. We are back. I am once again here with Mendrix. That hasn't changed, believe it or not. We're both sitting down on our desk chairs. But I tell you what has changed, Mendrix. The teams. In different orders. So we are getting Wolfpack and Aces Overwatch 2. But this is quite cool, actually, because I do like this dynamic, because when you get to see a team that you've already, like, seen for the day, you get to see, like, were they just having a bad game? Were they just perhaps having a bad day in general? Or was that sort of like a stylistic matchup? So we get to, like, develop those sort of storylines if we get to see, like, repeats of teams, which is cool, actually. I enjoy that dynamic.
It's true, and I think the other thing you can take into account as well is that, hey, you know, how quickly did that game finish? I feel between, you know, the Wolfpack and, sorry, I'm trying to think now who Wolfpack between Trinity. So Wolfpack and Trinity, when they were versing each other, maybe the game between Aces ended sooner. So there was an opportunity for Aces to get a bit of a sneaky peek and go, oh, what is the strategy that's actually happening at this moment in time, and how do we actually counter it as well? We'll have to wait and see what Aces do have up their sleeve.
Very good, very good.
Pretty good one there, but of course, we're going to have to wait and see what's going to be available. Wolfpack definitely coming off a bit of a whim there as well. I could say, you know, they're looking to feel that they're in form. I would like to see if they do continue with the same strategy. Perhaps they're going to maintain that sniper-heavy focus, and of course, swapping in and out, whether they want to throw in some tanks into the mix, or different tanks with different utility options to sort of round out the team. To be honest, we're going to have to do a wait and see.
That is true, we will have to wait and see, but I think one thing that you alluded to as well, like getting that win, the momentum, is incredibly, like, sort of vital when it comes to keeping, like, your team morale, when it comes to sort of bouncing off each other. I think that's really important, especially in the game of Overwatch, where things can particularly go, like, quite fast. You know, sometimes we have matches where they just go in a blink of an eye. Sometimes we have matches where they just sort of, you know, they're quite long and it's a bit of a war. So let's see how potentially they could perhaps snowball that, because it's also dependent on, like, the sort of fashion that they win as well. Sometimes they don't even like have, like, a warm-up sort of in that situation that it goes so quickly, you know. But see how both of these teams are looking to style themselves, and already we've actually seen quite a bit of a different dynamic with both of these teams locked up against each other. We're seeing pretty much a double sort of dive hybrid comp from these teams. We've been seeing, of course, a lot of Junker Queen, a lot of Ramatra, but now we have the Doomfist and the Winston. We've seen a little bit of that, but not as common as of recent. But I think Wolfpack, particularly in this matchup, may have a little bit more of an advantage, because I like that matchup between the Doomfist against the Winston, a little bit more flexible, but we'll have to see, because Golden Hook is quite dominant once they get that sort of momentum going.
Let's see what's happening. We're going to have teams clashing now in the middle of the map. Nice little knockback push away, so just stopping the action there. Deadly Kitten sitting on that backline once again, throwing out those arrow shots that we see. He's so deadly out the match just beforehand, but no real clear victory here just yet, as they are just rolling out, being deceptive, going down low. Cynthia's just deleted immediately, and now we do see the Wolfpack starting to take control, and Aces in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, Wolfpack were very comfortable with engaging onto the point and sort of forcing Aces Overwatch 2 away, right? Especially with that Doomfist punch, granting them a lot more space. And in conjunction, of course, with that Mei ultimate, already a Doomfist ultimate used. That guy 36 will be eliminated in conjunction of Golden Hook. And Wolfpack are doing a very, very good job at snowballing so far. And especially with the likes of Doomfist, getting that sort of control at the choke point there is going to be very pivotal in conjunction with the Mei, because you have the opportunity to combo that punch up against creating your own wall. So let's see if they can pull that off there. And Aces Overwatch 2 trying to adapt, saying that if you want to fight this close range, we're going to have a Reaper.
Let's bring it into the mix. Cynthia's, though, very low. Eagle also taking some damage as well. Immediately suffering the damage coming across this attack in their second attempt there. Nice little knockback as well once again. Obviously no real coverage, but Deceptive there, taking a lot of damage. Does have the ultimate available, so does Larson as well. Deadly Kitten going down very low. All the ultimates coming online now for the Wolfpack, but maybe they might not get a chance to use them, because Aces are just being absolutely oppressive at this moment as they're trying to push through. But now finally the return kills. Wolfpack finding it on the back end of here, and will actually force Aces out.
Seeing if they can get rid of that Torp turret. There we go. Jeff ends up getting it through there, and still just doing a massive job at cleaning up with their sort of mobility in this situation, and just the general way that they're engaging onto the point. The Nanobist has been used to try and contest for the situation, but doesn't have the follow-up because of the Mei wall.
so much work at this point in time. Lassie, though, will have to drop down for the time being.
Nice.
Ace now trying to make something again. Nice little push out onto it as well, but again, Ace is beginning to be shaved down from time and time again, and the control, the structure from the Wolfpack just seems to be unstoppable at this point. They can't get through. It seems to be a wall.
Definitely does seem to be a wall, and speaking of walls, I mean, Jeff is planting Acer's Overwatch 2 up against them with that constant Doomfist punch threat, and being sort of facilitated as well in this comp. Not exactly being hard-pocketed, actually, either. He's being healed now and again, sure, but it's not like he's being hard-pocketed in these situations, but I do appreciate the nano boost. I think Doomfist is one of those characters where he's underutilized in terms of the nano boost, because it effectively almost gives him like an empowered punch so he can get his one-shots off. So good job for realizing that, and I think especially up against that guy 36 on the Ana, Jeff is really trying to make sure that that Ana isn't getting a lot of value. So utilizing that dive comp potential and making sure that Doomfist is going to be your big engage, trying to negate the sort of effectiveness of the healers there.
They're doing an absolute monster level of work, being a menace on the map here, and Aces need to find a way to deal with it. Some quick damage coming out there. Deceptive has to drop back a bit, and already the action is going to be on a foot. We can see that we do have the Wolfpack trying to be a little bit more aggressive here on the rush here, but Ryoko going down. Sana also feeling the pain here as well. Aces now seem to be coming out on top this time around with a bit of an adaptation here that did not work out for Wolfpack.
Indeed, a little bit of an adaptation. Zintheus finds himself on the Genji, looking to dive through the backline, and of course Eagleborn still on the Torbjorn. Can be a little bit more difficult to get that Torb turret. We'll be using Deadly Kitten with the enhanced arrows to take that out. That's going to be their best tool to take it out nice and quick. And also Doomfist can actually charge his empowered fist off the Torb turret, so I need to be on the lookout for that as well to get more potential damage. And onto the Moira. Nice job with a fade out, but Doomfist is very good at punishing the Winston, even if he has the mobility, the leap available.
Deadly Kitten, though, unable to find control here, and it's just a different match. Wolfpack being obliterated at this point. Aces really putting themselves back in form, and just finding a different team here compared to what we had in the last round.
It is a much different team, right? I mean, Jeff is really doing a fantastic job on the Doomfist in conjunction with the mate providing the walls to make sure that he's getting these angles as well. And diving onto the back here, doing a bunch of damage, retreating for the time being, has the fist available, but looks like Aces Overwatch 2, they will get the point back for the time being, but still getting these contests, and still just a sort of thorn in their side at the moment, this Doomfist.
Yeah, Ubi is really something that's beginning to do some work now for the Wolfpack. Yeah, they may be losing members, but they're getting the objective, and that seems to be what is going to be them to win. Aces maybe maintaining the members here, but they keep retreating around. They do manage to get here. Ultimate's being dropped down as well. Aces still have a bit of ult economy to really push themselves back in control here, and seems to have that back for the time being. Wolfpack now also looking for opportunities to get back on the point. Winston dropping down, and unfortunately Susana is also going to be taken out. Golden with Deceptive away as well, and it looks as though we're going to have Wolfpack now regaining some control back as they get back into there.
They will get it back. Torbjorn throwing the turret over, and the punch actually does miss. Will mean Torbjorn ends up having a little bit of a contest in this scenario, and that shotgun does a surprising amount of damage, but along with the DPS help of Deadly Kitten, there won't be much of a problem, and will grant Wolfpack a little bit more time to recapture, but see if they try to take advantage of this, get the choke sort of control here, because you don't exactly want to give Aces Overwatch 2 a lot of space here, because they have the Nano Blade available.
Available, and as well on top of that, another 2 extra ultimates at this point. So let's see what they're going to make happen here. Aces still control the point for the time being, so Wolfpack still control the point. Aces are the ones that need to make something happen. And see here, comes the blade coming out as well. Zintheus though is just going to be dropping down at this point. Unfortunately, looks like Wolfpack, well, unfortunately for Aces, Wolfpack will be maintaining control for the time being.
See if they can store this out. Potentially the Torb turret doing a bunch of damage there, and enhance with that armor, but Doomfist will be the only one on the point. Can be very good at providing the stall there, and will be having the nano boost planted on top as well, so trying to focus down really quick, but also the livelihood for ult. Maybe Doomfist won't die in this situation.
You can see you're really doing a lot of work to keep that Doomfist alive all the time being, but yeah, eventually he will fall down. but it doesn't really matter. I mean, look at it, the amount of objection gain of that. But that being said, Ace is now finally back in control. They still have the ultimate available here for that guy as well. Deadly Kitten has the Dragon Strike up and running, so that might be their last real play here. The timer is beginning to push down as the percentage goes ever higher for Aces here. And they are in a relatively good position to actually take this game out if Wolfpack can't get back onto it.
It's a scary thing, right? It's only one fight left available in the anti-heal on the sleep. That is a wonderful way to secure this fight in the situation for Aces Overwatch 2. Props to that guy. You might have just made it a lot easier.
His names always do that. Props to that guy. It is actually that guy.
It is.
There as well. Did of course actually drop down that time. He will make his way back to it. Here comes all the ultimates. The Dragon Strike coming through. Everything is being thrown by both of these teams here. Maintain some control of the point, but it looks like the Aces will be coming out on top.
Yeah, it is very close.
Did I speak too soon?
Oh. There we go. You're right. You didn't jinx it.
Didn't want to cast a curse Aces, you know.
Yeah, we can't have that happening, man.
Well, round 2 complete, and it looks like it's going to be 1 apiece, so we're going to have that deciding round coming into it. And who you think might be, well, who will you be putting your money on?
It's going to be quite tough for me to nail this. I think I'm going to put the advantage here to Aces Overwatch 2. But perhaps the different sort of style of Wolfpack with their change of the composition with the Winston may sort of throw a spanner in the works. I mean, Aces Overwatch 2 might be sort of predicting the Doomfist to come out, but with the way that they're looking at, I mean, especially with that guy performance up against the Doomfist, the last fight sort of granted them that win there, right? So see how they react to that. But I think Aces Overwatch 2 may be looking for that win there. I'm going to predict for them to take it out, but who knows? Maybe the caster curse could come into fruition that way.
Through that, the Winston battle has engaged there, will be jumping out there, but of course, hot pursuit as well wants to actually kill the other Winston. Does jump over the mobility, gets out with the skin of the team from the golden hook in the end. It will be put to sleep once again there, but causing an absolute ruckus here for Aces, and Wolfpack quickly jump in and seize control of the point.
And this is what Wolfpack have been good at though, right? Getting the initiative immediately with their comp, and they have a bit more of a long range, so this is what they want to be doing. But that sleep once again onto Jeff means that the main tank is down. That guy 36, an MVP support performance after being focused down so much. No wonder why they were focusing him, because that guy 36 is a machine.
Yeah, it is absolutely disgusting we managed to get that sleep off as well, but even though they did manage to take down Jeff here, unable to really capitalize on that position there as well, because the damage coming through here from the rest of the members from their sniper capabilities is just absolutely unmanageable. Jeff's able to have enough time back into it. Lassie changing it up there is just absolutely shooting out a storm.
Yeah, just massive value on this Cassidy right now. Still, I mean, using their tumble to reload effectively to get the DPS down too, and has Dead Eye to zone the potential enemies away from the point, but Golden Hook does have the defense matrix available too. But Wolfpack, they're doing a very good job at poking down Aces Overwatch so they don't have full health as they're coming into the point.
Yeah, it really is that deterrent they've actually engaged by coming into it. Continuing to be whittled away here by both these hunter and Cassidy. Jumping on the side there as well. We'll continue to push everyone out. No real big damage coming on. I was going to say that 7% here, that guy just fell down out of the blue. Insane damage coming on through here as well. Wow, this Wolfpack well and truly in full control of this match.
They certainly are, and I like the sort of playstyle that they're going for here with their sort of long-range composition and using that Winston to make sure that they have enough space. So look at this, diving through at the end, nearly getting a pick there for themselves, by themselves, and will be using the Life Weaver ultimate to make sure they get a lot of poke there. But the anti-heal does come out from that guy 36 on the Ana, stuck in the corner. Will he survive? Lovely job from the healers to make sure that Jeff is still alive.
And then just hit out there as well, but there is going to be some explosive pursuit there available from Ace that you can see. Nifty is trying to make something happen. Does die again as well. Broken will fall down. Deadly Kitten and now Ace are on the attack, but they are trading back and forth. It looks like Ace might actually be able to get through on this overtime and have some control back into it, but as I say that, the respawns are coming on through as well. The Wolfpack aren't giving control that easily. We'll see how it does come in the end, but it will be Aces finally back onto the point with 1% left to go. Can they bring it back?
It's a tough ask, isn't it? They really need to manage their resources effectively and not use as many ultimates as possible when it comes to these fights, because they just want to spread them out so they can effectively win without using too much. But at the same time, if you're sort of at the brink, you have to use everything to make sure that you're still in the game. So this is the decision making when it comes key.
You see Jeff here on the Winston again trying to cause an absolute racket. That's the primal fury that knocks that guy right on out of it, and that might be exactly what the Wolfpack needs to get themselves back up to this point. But as I say that, never mind ultimates being traded here, and the Wolfpack find themselves completely eliminated except for their winners.
There we go. Let's see what Jeff can do in this situation. It's going to be a 1v1 on the point. Actually, make it a 1v1.5 with the turret there, but now the tank has joined the fray. Jeff will be retreating for the time being, and nice job from Aces. He had to use resources, but they still have stuff available right now, and there we go. Coalescence has been procced to make sure that the Diva doesn't get picked.
See here as well now, just trying to force the Wolfpack out once again. Looking a little bit too deadly, Susana is going down. Deadly couldn't be back to maybe last. Gets out. Slither HP, never mind, will go down anyway. The second now is supposed to trade it back to Aces as well, but everything said and done, Ace is still in control. Deadly is trying to get in and find at least a bit of damage where possible, but now the time is starting to actually trickle down. You need to actually make a big move, otherwise Aces will be walking away with the win.
Exactly. You need to make that decisive decision, and you don't have a lot of time to think. The Diva ultimate procced around the wall, and there we go. Roy Q eliminated on the Life Weaver. Very, very proactive stuff there. Ball will be used on point, spinning around in circles, but Aces Overwatch 2 engage very, very well, and Cynthia's is going to provide the cleanup crew necessary.
That is exactly what they needed as well, to actually hold on to this for the time being, but they're doing what they can with that ball, trying to keep Aces at bay as long as possible. The overtime is in position as well, but looking right now, it seems to be Aces with the edge, and there it is. Aces coming back down from 99% to clinch out the last game of this map.
It was a great performance. Certainly a great performance indeed, showing the mental fortitude. Jeff for the play of the game. Speaking of a great performance, Jeff was very, very, very consistent on this Winston, getting a few kills in conjunction with setting up the Deadeye, giving the Kurtnek the space available there too. But hey, speaking of an entertaining series, well, the last one that we had, it got quite close. And with us kicking this third series of the day, it looks quite close again. We're in a pretty good situation right now, Mendrix, and I'm excited to see what happens for the second map, because that first one, it was neck and neck. I mean, you said it yourself. That was a comeback at a situation where they were climbing up against 99%, so that's impressive.
Yeah, it is very good. Very much a never say die attitude, and it's exactly what you need to have, not just, you know, in Overwatch, but general competitive esports. If you're looking for an opportunity to win, it's one of those things where that mindset needs to be, I will execute, I will get, you know, the play, I will make it happen. That's really the sort of thought process you need to have coming into it, and Aces definitely had it in that last map there as well. So also we will now be moving over to the next map. Do you have any idea what that one's going to be?
Right, I'll give you a clue. It is a map that we have previously played. It was in our last series.
All right. I mean, there's a few maps there. So, I mean, the guessing point is
okay,
a bit tough.
it starts with a H. There you go. That's your first clue.
Starts with a H.
Yeah.
Antarctica.
No.
That's going to be Hollywood.
All right, it is Hollywood. Fantastic. There we go.
I think, like, for me, that's one of my favorite unexpected jokes, when it's like, I've made it so obvious, you know what it's going to be.
That is true. That is true.
I think, you know what, actually, you ever watch Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, I have.
It's one of those ones from, like, back in the day, where they're like...
It's like an old style type joke, where, like...
It was, so they were doing, like, they were making fun of Double Jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the categories were months that begin with Feb.
Mm-hmm.
And they had what's his name, Sean Connery. That's the one imitating Sean Connery at the time. And so they're like, oh, you know, months that begin with Feb, and he puts it in, he goes Febtober, like that. Ended up just being absolutely so. It was just such a good delivery as well, and the accent was on point. So
the accent is on point. I mean, it's a very hard accent to nail as well.
Exactly. I don't even want to do a disservice to
No.
Sean Connery at this moment in time.
No,
so.
exactly.
But that being said, when you nail it right, when you nail the impression, it's pretty good.
It is, yes. Yeah, for sure. that good old spy, sort of like classical spy type accent, right?
I mean, was he? No, was there? Is he the original 007? Was there one before that? I can't remember if there was.
I'm not
I
sure.
think he was. I know he's one of the first, or the first. But I can't remember if he's the first.
Not sure.
Maybe chat can let us know at some point in time.
Perhaps. So.
Yes.
Right. Have you figured it out?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you randomly figured it out. You're like, yes, I figured it out. But it's one of those things where you just sort of think about it, and you're like, and then you Google it, and then it's sort of like something that you maybe didn't even expect yourself. I feel like it's giving that sort of same vibe. There we go. You want that confirmation.
We need to find out. I need to know. All right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You just have to know it. Drum roll.
No, wait. They're giving me the things there, but I don't know.
good on research. You probably half of like your page is like full of promotions or something, and it's like blocking.
It's Sean Connery. Yeah, there we go. We got it. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I didn't have this ready. This is a completely off the cuff discussion right now at this moment in time. Right? You think these segments we've got them planned out? We don't. We're just talking. Okay.
Yeah, I mean we could have theoretically procced the be right back thing, and then had to wait, but instead we're having a nice little chat.
Who we're talking about.
Exactly.
Now you know. If anyone asks, it is actually Sean Connery. Just to let you know.
There you go.
If you ever go into a trivia, where it is going to be, at school, perhaps when you're a bit older, when you do go into a bistro or something like that, because they tend to have them every weekend, right? I'm not saying that you should go, but sometimes they're fun to attend. Get yourself a nice little, bit of a feed on the back end. You can get yourself some trivia, and they might ask, hey, who was the first James Bond? Or if James Bond is a category, you know who the first James Bond is, was Sean Connery.
There you go. That's the fun miscellaneous fact of the day.
Is that what we're going to be? Are we going to make that a thing? You should make that a thing. Okay.
All right. Yeah, we must have one miscellaneous fact of the day.
Going forward for the rest of the series.
Going forward.
Even if I'm not commentating with you, okay? You need to do this.
All right.
Okay?
I need to continue this trend.
All right. Good.
I promise, just for you.
Okay, I'm happy, and I'm gonna hold you to it. I'll be, watching and being like, hey, where's my miscellaneous fact? Damn it, Racquetz.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how I can top yours, but we'll try.
Like, who was the first born identity guy?
It's a similar theme.
I guess so, right? I mean, a lot less movies, right?
Right, that is true.
That being said, that we're going to be jumping into the match here. Hollywood. It's going to be what feels like going to be the fun round between the two of these guys here as well. They're packing up against Ace, and we'll see if they do manage to come out on the top. But I mean, still got a lot of action here. Of course, Ace is on top of the time being. The Wolfpack are the ones that need to fight back. And at this moment, no one's dropped down. No clear advantage actually gained. Of course, it's going to remain contested. We'll see what happens to be the case here. Everyone's going to be trying to get themselves onto that objective.
Seeing all this poke coming down as well, and especially trying to negate that dive comp up against the Winston. Nice knife can end up pulling them off the high ground, perhaps. No, but we'll be taking the elevator. Moira will be going, nope, and that's not going to happen with me. But that's a still lovely knife throw accuracy here from Jeff, making sure to counter out the dive. It's actually quite difficult to do. That projectile is a little bit awkward to throw. Not necessarily like her rack swing, which is just sort of right in front of her. Actually takes quite a lot of skill to aim that. So props to Jeff. Has been having a magnificent tank performance, but see how the sort of adaptation is coming out here from Acer Overwatch 2. And as you can see, they're off the Winston, and they're mirroring the Junkie Queen themselves.
Yeah, so you know what, we need to fight axe power with axe power, I guess you could say, or knife power with knife power. Is going to be the play here as well. Still, at this moment, I don't really see any clear progression of this objective between both of the teams here. Literally still just trading members back and forth. Tanks going down, a few members being taken out, but no clear advantage to the point that you can jump on and make sure that that objective will be there. Now we do have a bit of action here. Deceptive going to be going out Eagleborn on the run. That guy will actually end up being the sacrificial lamb in the end as well. And Aces is being cleaned out at this moment. still no opportunity to jump onto the point just yet. Jeff doing such a fantastic job on everything to actually maintain some control here. There, he does use the ultimate as well to push everything back, but unfortunately, Aces are going to be able to come through and clean Jeff out as well. And still, no clear advantage here, but it seems to be Aces Overwatch now, slowly pushing that dial, actually getting some progress on that objective.
And that Tourbillon turret was so sneaky in that situation, doing a large amount of poke damage in that fight, especially when you don't have, you know, the cooldown available of the enhanced sonic arrow, not the enhanced sonic arrow, the enhanced arrow, the rapid fire one from Hanzo. It's quite difficult to take it out with that type of composition. I mean, main isn't necessarily going to be taking it out very quickly, so you're going to be keeping that cooldown to make sure that the Tourbillon doesn't get a lot of value. And they're going to be placing it right on top of the payload. Speaking of something ready to be placed, the Dragon Strike is going to be used to straight cut across the point there to try and give them a little bit more space to move around.
Yeah, Ace is well and truly now on that payload as well, pushing it out, so Wolfpack are the ones that need to make something happen and actually stop the progression. And they managed to do a little bit now as well, as there is some battles going through. The wall will break down, but of course it does not mean that we're going to find a kill. As I said, that Cynthius does get knocked out, so that is going to be at least one member down here for Aces, and the Wolfpack looks like they managed to get some control and stop this progression here from the Aces.
See how they use their ultimates available in this situation as well. The coalescence from the Moira has been immediately procced, trying to keep the tanks nice and healthy. Junker Queens both swinging left for right. The Life Weaver ultimate, could that provide the healing necessary? But still, the Junker Queen ult from Golden Hawk are doing a very good job of making sure that they don't get the healing available. Nice counter use there. And bodies are flying left and right, eliminations from both of these teams, and still the fight is being extended once again, and ultimate still can potentially being used, but looks like there's going to be a temporary retreat for the time being.
Yeah, you can see Wolfpack are the ones that seem to be being forced back out. Ace is wasting no time to get that payload pushed immediately, getting a little bit more forced progression as they go. You can see now, we do have Golden Hook back, trying to push in, we'll be throwing out those knives, trying to get some sort of hit on the back end as well. No one actually in a position now to really start any particular fights. They're just holding their ground for the time being. Of course, that high ground though gets Chisana completely knocked out there. A nice little cheeky attack there on the side there from Synthesis. And now we do have Aces well and truly in the driver's seat, literally.
They certainly are, especially with Cynthius on the high ground there with the Junkrat, but Jeff with a lovely flank, but still the payload is captured. You can now access the third point of the map. They weren't quick enough on the engage despite having a lovely flank there, but a little bit off of the timing, manages to get the full elimination, and maybe they can snowball that with the positioning there, but Aces Overwatch 2 still managed to get through.
Yeah, I mean, at least that means the Wolfpack have an opportunity to set themselves up before they do get to the second portion of it. So that's the one thing they'll have going for them, but it is really frustrating to sort of jump in at that last second and perhaps be like, hey, we've got control, you really need to push forward now and put a bit more pressure onto Aces, but because they do flank into that next part of the portion, that does mean that a little bit of pressure has been pushed off them, and they can sort of take the recovery time because they've managed to add a little bit more to the play.
Certainly does help in that situation if they do get the space available, but looks like Nano Boost has been procced onto Jeff in this situation, has been very, very strong on the Junker Queen, but Lakurtnek, lovely accuracy there with the main Icicles, being very, very proficient with that pick. Junkrat Riptide is available, will perhaps be maybe looking for a cheeky spot on the high ground, might be using it against the opposition as they look forward to be on the lookout for that one potentially. There we go.
We did see Cynthius use such a great effect previously as well, and beginning to shoot down as much, but Aces are the ones popping us there. Newborn is the one that does drop down, and Cynthius under a bit of trouble. How's the ultimate available that being knocked out as well means it won't be used. And here we have a lot of autonomy for the Wolfpack, still holding onto it for the time being. Aces though, they are going to be using most of their stuff here as well to sort of maintain control at the point for the time being. There we go. We do have the Blizzard coming on down as well. Deadly Kitten knocked out before using that Dragon Strike as well, but let's see what happens with the respawn. There's Ryoko dropping out that Life Weaver ultimate as well, and you can still see Roku is going to be falling down, but at least has that pressure coming on through for the rest of the Wolfpack here. The Ace is still continuing to push to the point, and I feel like the Wolfpack are unfortunately unable to actually stop the progression of the Aces.
And Aces have a little bit of time to sort of position themselves as well, especially with Zintheus with the Riptire. Jeff is going to be a very durable frontline member, but as I just said, that the Riptire has been proc, looking for picks, potentially could get something here, and there we go, Deadly Kitten has been eliminated. We know how good Deadly Kitten has been at kicking off these fights of the Hunter, so that's a lovely way to start this off, and they're continuously mounting the pressure forward. Aces Overwatch 2 are relentless right now.
Yeah, they're continuing to push forward and forward again. Deadly Kitten's back, still has that Dragon Strike. He's still not going to be using it here, but continuing Aces are just seem to be pushing through well and truly and continuing to mow down the members of the Wolfpack, but finally they seem to be propped up just for the time being as they're trying to get some mana or get some HP back on the back end of it. As you can see, Deceptive jumps in, he's being relentless as well as getting those kill streaks as well off the back of it. Deadly Kitten's still not using that Dragon Strike, and unfortunately maybe a bit too late there. Tries to throw it to at the very end there, but we're still waiting as we do get to the end of that round being completed. And things looking very good for Aces.
That was a very unique situation. It's sort of like Aces Overwatch 2. They sort of were in a half-half situation where like, okay, we may be losing this fight, let's back off. Then all of a sudden Zintheus on the Junkrat ended up getting a triple by himself on the point. And then, and then all of a sudden, Aces Overwatch 2 continuously push on after they see that, especially the healer on the Moira, making sure that he doesn't get 1v1
and that was
by,
a late
I believe,
switch
the Hammer.
as well, right?
It was,
the
yeah.
Junkrat wasn't there initially, just said, oh, you know what, this is a good time to jump onto it. I feel like they waited until it was halfway pushed into the map, bring the Junkrat in, or the Junkrat in, and it was really effective. Like you said, completely just changed the face of the map for Aces there, who thought they were losing a little bit of steam, and then bam, it was like a new life was breathed into them, and they were able to really just push through towards the very end. So Wolfpack have their work completely cut out for them, and they're gonna have to see if they can, you know, they need to push towards the end here, and if they don't, I mean, there's gonna be a little bit of backup time available, but they have a very tough team ahead of them to have to get through. And Cynthia sitting on that Junkrat once again, it seems to be in form. Probably going to be something that needs to be dealt with by the Wolfpack. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but you know what? You're the guy with the brains. Let us know how they would, Racquetz.
Well, they have a pretty good comp into it, actually. I mean, they're going to be peppered down with a Reinhardt shield, so they might do a lot of damage, but at the same time, they have a lot of range to deal with the snipers. But Reinhardt will find himself onto the point by himself, but in the situation, the rest of the team is being flanked in a very unique situation. Props to Aces Overwatch 2. But at the end of the day, I mean, the Kurtnek manages to kite back on the sniper, get a couple of headshots, and they still have access to the point. Aces Overwatch 2 were very creative in how they wanted to deal with that, trying to use the close range to their advantage, but the kiting of Wolfpack in that situation, managing to survive the onslaught, that's impressive stuff.
Yeah, I think sometimes creativity isn't the best method here, and you can see Aces actually got wiped off the map for a split second there, and the Wolfpack wasting no time to get that payload activated and pushing in. This is exactly what the Wolfpack needed. They weren't looking too strong before, but now they seem to be very much in control of this map.
Do have that Hanzo to contest the high ground, so be looking on the Kurtnek to try and take out that Torb turret as well, making sure that the pressure isn't going to be mounting the side of Aces Overwatch 2. So they also have the Lifeweaver pedal, the teleporter, not the teleporter, the platform, there we go. Can use that potentially to navigate through there as well, and Orisa will be contesting the Reinhardt immediately was trapped, but the Lifeweaver pull does come to save the day in the situation. So Wolfpack, they're still pushing the payload in this situation too, so pretty good news for them considering Aces Overwatch 2 still have the high ground.
Yeah, they've had the high ground, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Jeff's hitching a ride now on the payload as well. Quite happy to sit there with the shield up and available, and unless Aces jump on there and stop him, I'm pretty sure he's going to be sitting quite happily. Never mind that he decides to jump out and jump off himself to get a kill and perhaps secure a little bit more progression here for the Wolfpack. And yeah, Aces on the attack looks good, but Wolfpack just seems to look better.
Well, Aces Overwatch may have the high ground control, but they're not really getting any sort of payload congestion. There we go, that's what we want to see, making sure that Wolfpack don't have a lot of room to breathe on the Orisa, immediately diving into the backline. That's the pressure we're talking about.
finally they do make something happen, but we're almost at the second portion of this as well. So, I mean, even that being said, yeah, there's some contention there, but they still have the payload moving. Finally, now it's stopped, and as I say that, it's because the doors are opening, right? It's not even a scenario of like, oh yeah, good job, Aces, you've stopped it. No, like, we have to physically wait for the door to open. We can't do anything. Jeff is doing the whole impression of impatience right now, literally. Oh, I didn't even say that was Jeff. Maybe perhaps that was TwoTapTony saying, yeah, this is pretty annoying to be stuck on a car that doesn't move, right?
Yeah, just waiting for the door to open. That's relatable as a main tank player when you're on the Reinhardt. You're just sort of stuck on payload duty, like, why is it me? Why is it me?
I can't do anything. Everyone else is out there killing. I mean, look at Lassie now. There seems to be a bit of a swap here. Normally it's Deadly Kitten actually on the Hanzo, but we get Lassie this time around actually jumping in there as well. I'm not sure how you pronounce the name. I'm sure I'll learn it at some point in time here. But now we do have the payload well and truly moving into that final portion of it. They've got plenty of time to work with. Well, the ultimates are being shot out left, right, and center. It just seems to be a flurry of abilities and dragons flying everywhere. But the payload still seems to be moving slowly but surely into position. And maybe Aces have finally managed to put on a bit of a stop here against the Wolfpack. As I say that, never mind, the round 2 has been completed.
Wow, that happened a lot quicker than I expected, right? Given that situation. It just sort of went by in a flash, considering. And it looks like Aces Overwatch 2 not sort of finding the best ways to deal with the range advantage that Wolfpack have there. They were doing a pretty good, like, sort of stock standard high ground control, but at the same time, you need to make sure that you have that sort of tank maintaining the payload duty while having the sort of like support to facilitate on the high ground and make sure that they don't get immediately sort of taken out, right? So they had the setup like halfway there, but Wolfpack was sort of gaining too much space for it to really matter because they just had the Reinhardt just sort of there blocking out all the harass coming through, and they just didn't have the exact sort of damage to make sure that that shield was coming down immediately.
Couldn't agree with it more, and their structure just seemed to be so much more on point that's why they were able to do it very quick, right? They had everything sort of working in unison in terms of what they needed to do. Everyone was on the same page. Everyone knew what their jobs were. Aces now only have, by the looks of it, a minute to really actually gain something back here if possible, and it's going to be a tough ask for them to get, into a position where they can actually take this map.
They are looking for that immediate power with their comp. A lot of teams, when they want to get something done quick, they do opt into that Winston to make sure that they can sort of get into the fight nice and quick. If we lose, hey, we lost, but at least we sort of can get back into the next one very quick. So I do at least like the style they're going for here, despite Wolfpack having the distinct advantage. Aces Overwatch 2 want to make sure they get overly aggressive and win these fights very quickly.
They're trying to actually stop there. You can see we do have a bit of a movement coming across here. Golden going down very low. In fact, so low they will be knocked out as well. Very quickly, a lot of action. And Deadly Kitten was low, but has been healed back up. Did manage to get away from all of the action. For the time being, though, I think Aces is quite happy with. Actually, they're not. Sorry, they'd be very unhappy with the scenario. Wolfpack would be quite happy with the scenario. They're actually stopping any progression here in the payload. Jeff has it dropped down, and I feel like that's all she wrote down for this round.
Especially with the high ground control here from Deadly Kitten. Let's see how that works out, actually, considering. Yeah, doing very, very good. Gets knocked out, but still very, very durable. But in saying that, Zintheus on that Junkrat providing such a large amount of burst. I can't believe that it's just happened. This is Overwatch, ladies and gentlemen, where you end up winning that very last fight and it ends up granting you an extra opportunity to win this map. I mean, despite not having a lot of time there, just Overwatch things happen where the curse of the last fight was in favor of the Aces Overwatch squad.
Literally, like, oh, Overwatch. It happens, alright?
Yep.
We do have Overwatch here on the Diva, trying to put those be stunned for the time being as well. And now we do have Aces and Wolfpack just rolling it out right in the center of this car. For some reason, it is the most strongest car that I've ever seen as well, where bullets flying everywhere. I won't go down. Deceptive though, will Eagleborn, will Ryoku as well. And we finally do have that round 3 complete.
There we go. I mean, Aces Overwatch 2, considering the situation, not too bad. Not too bad. At least they captured the first point. I do, however, need to give props to Jeff in that situation because Aces Overwatch 2, if they get past that initial hurdle of the choke point, they're laughing. They have a large amount of mobility to capture the high ground and sort of take it to Wolfpack in that scenario. But Wolfpack, Jeff immediately was like, okay, we need to give them no space whatsoever. Let's use the Earthshatter at the choke and completely capitalize on it. So I like that sort of proactiveness of the Wolfpack, realizing that, okay, once there's more space, Aces Overwatch 2, they're going to have an advantage, so we're going to shut that down immediately.
Yeah, you're going to shove very hard here as well, but look at how much time they have. Oh my lord.
Yep.
That doesn't seem fair, you know. It's like, that's just... I mean, look, they did perform extremely well on the previous maps, so they deserve it, so I'm not going to take that away from them, but looking to see now in terms of what they're going to be able to do. Obviously, 20 seconds before we begin. It seems to be some changes there as well to the loadouts in terms of what's being picked there. Jeff obviously going to be remaining on that Reinhardt. Deadly Kitten still opted into that Soldier as well, also number 76. So we'll see how this all does play out here.
The Symmetra being
on the
used.
line here. I mean, if Aces have managed to somehow take this back, right? They've managed to, they've won right off the bat here.
Yep.
If Wolfpack take this win, which is looking at the case here, we go to the third match.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure for both of these teams for different reasons, right? And I think Aces Overwatch 2, with their they really are front-loading on their defense here with what they have, and they're trying to pressure the Reinhardt too. Junker Queen can get a fair amount of ultimate in this particular matchup, but still seeing how this Symmetra works in this situation as well, trying to pressure the choke point. Lovely stuff so far, but Wolfpack, all they need is one pick of their snipers and all of a sudden the point is looking a lot more favourable, but for the moment, for the time being, Aces Overwatch 2 are being quite durable.
Holding on for the time being as well. You can see them beginning to really force their way through on to this point now as well. Wolfpack doing everything they can. Their Jeff also, the Jazana goes down. Lacey also in trouble. They've traded away that guy, but I think right now Aces would be happy with that trade. 2 for 1 and a bit of extra control in the back pocket. Yum. Septi though will be healed right back up as well. Eagleborn still off. We're still waiting for that guy to get back into it as well. Deadly Kitten is low, looking for a heal. Will get it now finally on the end of it. But again, that Dragon Strike coming through doesn't really hit the mark, I feel. It does mean that the Wolfpack remain in somewhat control.
I do like the Wolfpack adaptation here with the Soldier trying to take out the Tourbillon turret immediately, but Golden Hook, that burst of Junker Queen is so ludicrous if you're up close and personal with a nice knife shot as well, and the ultimate. This is a MVP performance here from Golden Hook. He needs it if he wants to contest in the situation. But speaking of MVP, Jeff has been phenomenal on the Reinhardt as well. It's a clash of the tides between both of these teams, and the healers are certainly unsung heroes given the situation as well. And Jeff with the hammer, you can't stop him.
He's literally doing their best Thor impression right now. Putting the hammer right down. 3 members still leading off the map here for Aces Overwatch, and the Wolfpack here now are starting to escort that payload.
Oh, look at the amount of space, right? I mean, Deadly Kitten just going through the door slowly, just investigating a little bit beforehand, but I mean, Aces Overwatch 2 need to start immediately contesting it. There's no room for mistakes whatsoever.
Yeah, they need to go now. They've managed to get on there now. This is it, right? Like any more length of distance, and that's it. Game is done. The Wolfpack are doing everything they can in their power, throwing the kitchen sink as well, and it seems to be not enough.
There we go.
Oh wow, never mind. It was, sorry, Aces were throwing everything they could there, and it wasn't enough at the very end. The Wolfpack are the ones that do manage to get through at the very end. Oh, here we go. Play of the game. Is this the one we were talking about? I think. Yeah.
This. Oh, what was it? It might have been the one. Oh, yep. I believe this was the one.
Yep, this is the one. Bam,
yep,
bam,
that
bam.
is the one.
Completely just changed the face of the map there.
That is quite impressive. I mean, the confidence in that play, especially, and a lovely Junkrat trap placement to make sure to take advantage of that as well. And sort of sometimes when you trap someone on Junkrat,
it was good, right?
Yeah,
it was good. I mean, it changed I feel like the feel of them slowing down at that point. Obviously, it didn't really do much in the grand scheme of things because the Wolfpack just were so much stronger at that point. Yeah. But it is something that you want to have those plays more times than not and have that consistency throughout the map.
Well, here's the good news. We are having a map 3.
I know.
And that map will be Dorado. Yeah, I mean, map 3s, they're not the most common thing so far in this format. I think we do get a fair amount of sort of one team sort of dominating the other, and then as of recent, the sort of longer the format goes, it sort of has two sort of close matches, you know. But coming into a third map, that's really fun to see. That's really fun to see, and it means we get a fully different type of game mode to explore, which is, I believe, Escort. So Dorado, the payload map. So the full payload rule is into effect because, of course, King's Row is a hybrid, Hollywood's a hybrid. You need to capture that first point before it locks through. So yeah, keen to see how these teams play on Dorado because, as I said, we haven't seen many map 3, so this might be a little bit of unfamiliar territories for a few of these folks here.
So it's going to be good as well. I mean, it feels good for the Wolfpack because they're going to be coming back off the end of a win. So they're going to have some momentum coming into it. Of course, Aces gives them an opportunity to make some changes, which obviously might end up changing the result as well. So you can say there's, two different factors here that really could dictate that. How well does both teams adapt is a real question here. Dorado, like you said, is a full payload map. Is there any specific points that really need to be taken into account for the teams? Perhaps certain chokes? What is the flavor of the compositions that most teams like to field in this case?
It's quite an interesting question because I think both teams are capable in playing the Mei, and in this sort of situation where you just had such a close series, teams may be sort of more inclined to sort of have that sort of first point hold comp, right? Where you just want to make sure to front load sort of all your picks and be like, okay, we're going to contest this sort of first choke very, very, intensely with the Junkrat, with the likes of the Mei. So I'm expecting to maybe see those because it's a way to sort of sweep your opponent off guard because you just had such like an intense series. So to preserve your own stamina, maybe perhaps you'd want to sort of try to exhaust your energy into that first point to make sure that you can sort of proceed that dominant form into a situation where you're not going to have to deal with the same thing on the opposite side, right? Where they're going to have much more of a different time. So I'm keen to see if the Junkrat, the Mei, these sort of very, very dominant sort of first point heroes in Dorado are going to be coming out, or if we're going to see the sort of dive composition as well. I mean, we've seen this a couple of times, Mendrix, where we've had a couple of teams when they're like, okay, we're on this last fight. Maybe we switch to like a Winston. Maybe we switch to like a Genji. Maybe we switch to like this high tempo character to make sure that they put themselves on the board a little bit quicker.
Well, we'll see what both these teams decide to bring to the table. Heroes now being assembled here. Not too much time available until obviously we do get back into this map. It's going to be the decider. This is the final game for today, if I'm not mistaken as well. So after this, there's no more action. So these players really bringing us as much value as possible. And we do see the picks now starting to come into play. What are your thoughts here? I mean, Golden Hook's going to be on that Reinhardt. Having a look to see there as well. We do have a Mei flowing into it. Deadly Kitten on that tried and tested Hanzo that we've seen them play time and time again. What's your diagnosis here, Dr. Racquet?
My diagnosis is there is a Sigma where we haven't seen Sigma very much at all. I mean, Sigma is most powerful in these scenarios when you do have like that sort of high ground to contest and he can poke from afar. So I really, really dig that in conjunction with, say, the Mei to have that established zone control. And he'll probably be right next to the Hanzo with the shield to make sure that he can peel effectively for when the Genji dives in as well. So let's see how that matchup particularly works, because I think Sigma's worst matchup is against the Reinhardt, but they do have enough space so they can get a lot of poke through. So let's see if Wolfpack can achieve that and make sure that Aces Overwatch 2 don't get through for free.
You can see the turret being taken down immediately as well. So for the time being as well, trying to hold that line. Do like what you said there as well. This Sigma seems to be just sitting very far in the corner here as well, not doing too much, but Halo's being pushed here, and I feel like Aces really do just need to get down there and stop it from moving. This is probably going to be very frustrating now for Aces, because it feels like they're just behind the ball. They were on the high ground, the payload came, the payload kept going, and now they're, behind the payload.
Pretty much. It's pretty much straight past them at the moment, and now they have to fight in a very awkward situation, sort of swapping sides, and there we go. The payload has been captured immediately, and I saw this similarly on the last map on Hollywood, actually, where the Reinhardt comp just sort of moves through without taking too much harass. and they just push the payload. So as we were sort of alluding to before in Hollywood, you need to make sure that you do have something to sort of negate the push, someone who can at least contest for a little bit, because obviously if you're up against a Reinhardt comp, you don't want to be right in front of them, right? Because that's where Reinhardt wants you to be. You can swing the hammer. But for Wolfpack, with their comp, they have a lot of poke, and if they are sort of within range of the payload, they have a significant disadvantage. So it's a little bit of an awkward situation for them, but at least this point is a little bit more in their favor. But the same thing could potentially happen if they don't end up having a contest at all.
Well, Halo continuing to push at this moment in time as well, so Ace is doing a fantastic job continuing to put up the pressure. Wolfpack have lost Deadly Kitten, have lost Lassie as well. There's a respawn now of Lassie, and still just being absolutely dominating here as they continue to push towards what could be the second quarter here. Unless the Wolfpack jump on top of them right now, yeah, I reckon this is going to be a very quick round.
Could be potentially very quick, and the Genji doing a good job at making sure that the high ground isn't completely secured by the snipers, and of course, lovely Earth Shatter there from Golden Hook as well. Cynthia's waiting for the healing available so he can get back into the fray, but yeah, lovely job here from Aces Overwatch 2, been incredibly dominant so far, and they still have the Nano Blade. Yeah.
Take the hill, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, I need to get going. Why? Just stop any heal. I need to kill things. Like, they're all dead. No. You get the heal. Aces, yeah, I mean, this is rough for the Wolfpack here. The Aces are really dominating this time.
Well, they're looking to combo as well, so they're going to have a massive swing potentially with the Nano Blade. There we go, has been proc. Cynthius will be going into the back line, looking for more. Gets one, gets two, but Lakurtnek responds with the Reptile, but will that be enough in a little bit of an awkward situation caught between a rock and a hard place? But the payload, once again, is still pushing.
So uses the Dragon Strike, they continue to get there. Deadly Kitten goes down, Lassie's down, Cynthius, Eagle also as well. The payload, like you said, still is being pushed at this point, and Aces seem unstoppable. That felt so quick, so clean. The Wolfpack, I think they lost their teeth.
Yeah, I mean, possibly, huh? Possibly. That was a really, really dominant performance, and I think just how would you exactly respond here if you're Wolfpack? I'm thinking, considering...
Don't ask me. You're the brain. You're the Overwatch brain, man.
I'm going through my own sort of internal diagnostics. I'm talking to myself. I'm like, okay, what can they do? I'm running the.
I don't know. You tell me.
I'm running the simulation in my mind. I'm thinking, okay, Reinhardt, Junker Queen, Anna, Kariko. I'm just thinking of all these potential heroes and how they could perhaps interact with the Aces Overwatch 2 squad here. I think, considering what just happened and how dominant Aces Overwatch 2 were, you'd want to be playing more of a high-tempo comp because you don't want to be very behind in terms of the clock, right? So you want to be making these fights as quick as possible. And it looks like they're sort of going for a little bit of a hybrid. They're locking in that Widowmaker potentially and using the Ramatra as a sort of tool to say, all right, every time we have the Ramatra ult, we're just going to win this. And up against the potential matchup of Reinhardt, Ramatra is extremely favored because he can farm it very quickly. So let's say our Wolfpack perhaps use that to their advantage. And look at this unique positioning over here. Once again, Aces Overwatch 2 perhaps looking for an early engage to take them off guard.
A bit of cheese, as I'd like to say. Something smells a little bit off here. We'll see how the Wolfpack handle it. As you can see, they're beginning to set up. Payload's being moved to position there. I think they know something's up, something's a bit fishy, something's a bit cheesy, something just smells wrong here. Let's see what ends up in the scenario. And they come out at this point in time, but Golden Hook is blown away. Wolfpack already. Pisano, though, will fall down as well. Deceptive in the top of it. And even though we're already in waiting, they do lose a few members off the back of this play.
It's true. It was a lovely sleep to try and negate that Reinhardt charge at the start there as well. So nice reactions there from Krishna on the Anna. And now they'll continue to take that space. They do have the Widowmaker perched on the payload. She does have the option of taking the high ground as well, but it means Aces Overwatch 2 won't... they'll sort of have to come in slowly in terms of their pathing with their composition, making sure that they're perched up behind that Reinhardt shield so they don't get picked off by the Widowmaker as they're coming in.
They do have a bit of time to make this work as well, but obviously the coming that had to be wow. Look at all of those extra kills coming through here. Jeff doing an absolute storm there on the hit, making sure to have full control on for that time being Pisano down, Roku down, Deceptive and Zinthus as well, but that actually has stopped the payload from moving for the time being, so do have the Wolfpack here probably being pushed back a little bit, but overall they managed to get themselves back up to their feet, and they're not pushing actually just yet. So they feel that they're probably in a bit of trouble here. Ace is doing a great job on the defense.
Certainly are, and they will have that Earth Shatter available. Golden Hook has been very, very strong on this Reinhardt of the map so far. And of course, Jeff was farming a lot of ultimate charge off the Reinhardt in the previous fight as well. The Widowmaker ultimate will be proc, so Aces Overwatch 2, they are under fire. They now are revealed with the ultimate, and now they're going to be engaging as well, but the Earth Shatter up against the ultimate of the Ramatra, but being pulled out means that Ramatra can survive the burst.
Well, that being said, those two members that did survive, or three members now, Eagle Ball and Sun, and Eagle Ball is back and continuing to move onto the Aces team. You can see Golden work, or also Golden Work, I say Golden Cook doing a number of Golden works at this moment in time, but still trying to hold the position for the time being, going in a basically head-to-head fist fight here at this moment in time. Will be healed up, will remain alive, but of course, while it's all happening, the payload is not being pushed.
That is true, and considering how good Ace's time was when they pushed, this is a pretty good result for them regardless. Coalescence will be used in the background to make sure that the tanks are topped up. Kurtnek, though, with a lovely headshot during the Coalescence as well, so that is a lovely pick. We'll be having the ultimate available once again, and both teams, they are fighting back and forth here, but still the advantage is here for Aces Overwatch 2, considering that they have such a good time.
Yeah, I mean, that time that they've got there is just going to make this so much easier for the next round. There is going to be one in the Wolfpack. Timbu being moved back so badly now, I'm not sure one will even spawn onto the map the way it's going. I know I'll be like, oh, Overwatch will just be like doing its Overwatch things. There are sometimes it likes to extend, sometimes it might just decide to end it early. I'm joking. Anywho, door opening up for the time being as well, so payload is back and moving once again. You can see the Widowmaker trying to get in front there. They do find Eagleborn, so a nice little damage there. To be honest, that was a kill still. Your hill was a kill still? Jeff? I reckon Jeff did a kill still.
That was a kill still. 100% confirmed on stream.
Or kill secure.
Maybe they're just trying to funnel the ultimate economy onto the Ramatra, because that last fight, the ult just completely won them that fight, so maybe they're just looking to get as much ultimate charge percentage as possible, because they know that Jeff could potentially spell the meaning of victory for the Wolfpack right now. And look how durable he is on this front line up against the Reinhardt. Very, very good matchup, but the anti-heal does come out. This is exactly what you want to do up against Ramatra, making sure that he isn't being facilitated, anti-healing him at every point.
That being said, he's had to back off just a little bit there, so there's a lot of pressure coming through, but Synthesis has been found in Chaos here, then we couldn't had to back off and find some healing before they can jump back into the action. Now, everyone's under pressure. Synthesis has that ultimate there, will use it immediately, and unfortunately it will still go down regardless, and the Wolfpack are the ones ending up with the kills. That ultimate there from Jeff, really netting them some amazing wins.
That is definitely a very easy and simplistic winning condition to execute. They realize that, and they're taking advantage of it quite well. And the anti-heal onto the Genji, very, very good. Golden Hook uses the Earth Shatter, trying to get back onto the point to contest it. Aces Overwatch 2, they really, really want to win in this situation, and they're doing a great job at using their ults to come back and making sure that Wolfpack, despite having the picks initially, Aces Overwatch 2 are doing a very good job at coming back onto the point. They may be staggered, but at the same time, they're very, very calm, collected, and they show a great amount of resolve despite being in a disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, look, even with like I think that it just comes down to the idea again that Ace is kind of so good though.
Yeah.
That you can really tell like this is definitely taking longer, right? That's the big thing. Is even if you go like, oh, you know, it looks like they're gonna get to the point and close out. It's like that time they're gonna have in the next round is gonna be even if they do get to the point.
Well, they need to be looking for these early fights if they continue to have the sort of close-ish time to Aces Overwatch 2. It's not going to be the most likely thing in the world, but they certainly still have a shot in conjunction with the way they've been using this Ramatra. Ultimate Deadly Kitten in with the Tactical Visor. Does have the Nano Boost available, but won't be investing into it, but it would be giving them a lot of space in this scenario.
Here now, Jeff once again back into the middle of the front line, just continuing to punch right away. 87% on that ultimate available as well. Absolutely hitting up a storm here. Aces Overwatch losing their members, and that payload continuing to be pushed. And like you said, strategy seems to be straightforward, seems to be working. Obviously not at the speed they probably ideally would like to be at, but of course they've had a game plan.
It still is possible, and I like the sort of gameplay adaptation they've been going for. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get picks with this sniper sort of set up with a Hanzo up against the Reinhardt with the likes of that shield, but still they're sort of forwarding the resources onto the Ramatra, because guess what? If you're scared of Ramatra before, in this very close range area inside, you're going to be suffering.
Big hits coming on through. Aces wiped off the map. The only person available is Synthos, and they may not be long for this world as well. And wow, man. Jeff just being an absolute menace now, and that should allow them to push the rest of the way. I mean, Aces may have one real opportunity here now to get actually stuff from happening.
Focusing the Torp turret immediately to Golden Hook, maybe looking for an Earth Shatter to make sure that they don't get through, but the Dragon Strike from the Kurtnek, lovely use of the zone control as well. Roiku getting the ultimate off the Blossom before he ends up being eliminated, but at the same time, this is Overwatch 2 are doing a very good job of being durable.
Quick Jeff is also charging up that ultimate.
Yeah.
Like you said, just seems to be so effective there. Punch, 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 baby. Loving it on the back end as well. Already up to that 60%. It's being contested over the time being. Ace is pulling out all the stops here to stop this last little bit of regression. They've got 20 seconds to stop the Wolfpack from completing out this round, but it is going to be for naught. They do manage to get there in the very end there, but still I feel the advantage is towards Aces considering how good their time was.
For sure. They definitely do have a distinct advantage, but I think also, I mean, props to Wolfpack for continuously pressing forward regardless of them having like a inferior time. They showed that sort of adaptation. They were like, okay, we need to think of something and we need to do it fast before we fall too far behind. And they've implemented that strategy. They are 4 minutes behind, but at least they sort of got to the end of the map. They got to the end of the map, so they are still within the talks of winning if they play very, very well. I mean, if we're talking about the sort of consistency and sort of adjusting win conditions, I mean, Wolfpack, they were losing a fair amount of those first few fights, but then all of a sudden, then they consecutively won the fights. Once they found their swing of things, literally with the Ramatra, they...
it was literally... I kind of felt like at this point, okay, Aces, you need to adapt here. This is like
the
third time that Ramatra has wiped the team.
Well, this is tough as well, Mendrix, because they're opting into the same sort of tank matchup again with the Reinhardt. I don't think this is a particularly favorable matchup for the Reinhardt, but in saying that, maybe Aces Overwatch 2 will be using the additional burst with the Junkrat to make sure that the Ramatra doesn't have as much space moving forward.
So the big key here, right, is like if there was, an option outside of this Reinhardt, what would be the move in the Aces? You reckon would be ideal going forward?
Teams have elected to sort of use the Junker Queen with the matchup to sort of have a handshake and just have that sort of 1v1 brawl type playstyle, or you could have that situation where you've been playing more of a mobile tank trying to kite around, or maybe perhaps using the Sigma on the high ground to poke him as he's coming in as well. I think a lot of options are better than the Reinhardt at the moment, but at the same time, oh my gosh, the Kurtnek, you are popping off! That is a wonderful myriad of shots.
Look, Kurtnek it is. Alright, I figured out the name now. I was calling it Laser Tech.
Well, I think that's what I called Kurtnek the first time, actually. I just followed suit with my co-caster Matsu previously. That's
there
why.
You go. Well, the Kurtnek, that was absolutely disgusting. The Wolfpack were completely taking control on that one there, and Aces, damn. Talk about taking a lot of damage. Well, we're in overtime now. See they're back on the Kurtnek once again, just continuing to shoot up a storm here. I feel like they need to figure out that there's an Ash in the background, on the high ground, completely obliterating the Aces team. They finally do. They find a flank on the back end. The Kurtnek has been taken out in the end as well, and now we're back on to Jeff, who's looking to punch right on through most of the action once again. And has got that ultimate, I think, believe just used there as well, so that Ramatra going to work, and it seems to be keeping them in the loop for the time being.
Lovely display of teamwork. The Kurtnek flanking on the Ash. Not exactly the character you're going to be spotting going for a flank the most often, but still providing enough burst to Torbjorn. Eagleborn, that was a very unique play. Maybe perhaps trying to catch the Wolfpack off guard or looking for a reset there. Maybe wanting to swap or perhaps get a better position on the spawn. But either way, I mean, still, the Bob will be available for Ash. Let's see if she uses that in the situation to grant Wolfpack a little bit more space. There we go, the knock-up.
Like guy knocked out as well in the end. You can see Jeff just continuing to push forward, gets Xynthus, it's collateral damage, even though that, but this seems to be a nice little hit there. Will pin and stun him back, at least the time being, and Jeff, the Wrecking Ball, finally has been wrecked themselves here, and now the Wolfpack need to see if they can hold on for the time being, or Aces now have a bit of control.
It was a lovely Earth Shatter, but unfortunately the DPS weren't sort of behind the Reinhardt to get the follow-up. The Nano Boost will be used onto Lecurtec, and this fella doesn't really miss very often, so you're going to be scared of that flashing blue before you.
Pins down, has that ultimate available as well. Looking on the other side, yeah, Aces now using all of their ultimates as well to stop this payload from going any further as possible. And see here Justana breaking down. Jeff also knocked out as well. The Kurtnik out of there as well. And Golden Hook absolutely going strong there at the very end.
Pretty decent push considering. Right? I mean, obviously they're in a disadvantageous spot, but they still managed to push through quite the bit. I think the key point is that they went past that first initial point. And I think especially the first initial point on Dorado can be a little bit of a road bump. I mean, obviously Aces Overwatch 2, they didn't have that road bump whatsoever. They just completely stomped through themselves, but I'm intrigued to see if Wolfpack change suit, considering they had this sort of Sigma poke composition up against the likes of Aces Overwatch. They had the Sigma into the Reinhardt matchup, and it looks like they're adjusting to exactly what they pretty much did on attack, but they're doing it on defense this time, so they know that this works better for them given this current scenario.
Yes, they're making the relative adjustments. They're looking to what they can do. Still a very big uphill battle, just considering the amount of work that was done by Aces previously. We've got 26 seconds before we do jump into it, but it's on Aces now. They seem to be so powerful on the attack that I'm not sure what the Wolfpack's going to be able to do here.
It's going to be tough. I do like the adaptation of the Wolfpack, but at the same time, I mean, Aces Overwatch 2, they have a lot of room to make mistakes, right? Because of just how much time they have. So I mean, so Wolfpack have to be so incredibly consistent if they want to stop the sort of waves of the Aces Overwatch 2 composition. So let's see if they can continuously sort of palm off Aces Overwatch 2, because that performance needs to be pristine.
Well, Wolfpack definitely doing that road bump that you mentioned before, just using the high ground to their advantage to shoot fire away here. But we do have a bit of returning here as well from Aces, looking to get in there and disrupt that high ground attack if possible. That guy has been taken down. AGON also is out of that match. Golden as well, and it feels like the Wolfpack have managed to actually stop what seems to be the unstoppable force. I guess this is literally when unstoppable force meets the object.
Pretty much, it does certainly seem like that narrative, the storyline of Jeff continuously pushing forward on the Ramattra, getting a massive amount of value on that pick once again. And Aces Overwatch 2, they're like, alright, we might need to change something up ourselves. If they're going to change something, we're going to change something. And there we go. The Winston has been picked in conjunction, of course. Diving into that Genji can give Xynthus a little bit more support. Once he dives in now, it's not going to really be like a one-man wrecking crew on that dive of the backline. So now he will have the Winston bubble to facilitate that dive.
Well, we are back onto the payload, moving just ever so slightly from the time being as well. You can see here Xynthus there doing a good job as well, being in the middle there, actually trying to slow down the damage. And that's pretty big. Gets Jeff off there. Sana as well. Absolutely popping off here on this Genji, and that little change there, managing to get onto the top of those lines, really is getting some dividends here, right?
No way, Lecurtec, once again, just an absolute clutch Ash performance. Manages to salvage a situation where Aces Overwatch 2 got a massive amount of picks at the start. Can he manage to clutch it again, using the shotgun to negate the sort of dive there from Genji, and saves Wolfpack for the time being, granting them extra time on the clock with a triple defending them on the high ground.
Yeah, the Kurtnik just being an absolute force here on the Ash as well. Eagleborn has been taken down as well. You can see a lot happening. Shisana was deleted immediately off the map. Ultimate's now being used up as well. The Genji comes in with the blade and absolutely gets rid of the Kurtnik. That is someone you need off the map to continue going forward here. And they are now pushing hard, but of course there is the response coming across here from the Wolfpack. They get their kills in return. Jeff there just stopping everyone in their tracks, and this is just a trade between both of these teams. They are literally pushing it down to the wire.
They certainly are. This is very, very close. Looks like the supports will be coming back in help of Jeff to make sure that he can contest the payload freely. And we're talking about this before. The key part of these situations is making sure that the payload doesn't move as much forward and making sure that they don't get enough space. And then realizing that having Jeff planted solely on there with the support of the healers means that Aces Overwatch 2 don't have enough free space to work with.
Well, they have managed to push off the whole Wolfpack now. Wolfpack has Ace off the entire time, but here it comes. Jumping on him, wants to actually get in there. Will stay alive for the time being. Managed to find Cynthius, and yet will be Aces now pushing through, but the response has come back as well. Cynthius, Eagleborn, that guy down. And it is again a trade among each of these teams there, just knocking out each other time after time, and this payload is the mainstay.
Trying to retreat up against this Ramatra, does have mobility available to get rid of that situation, but now will be pocketed through, and Jeff actually gets eliminated, so all of a sudden the tank is gone from Wolfpack, and Aces Overwatch 2 might have a little bit more room to breathe, and the Kurtnek realizes that, places Bob out, but Deceptive with the double on the Moira, triple make it.
Oh my lord, that is an absolute cleanup right there. I was about to say, good thing Aces had that little bit of room for error here, because the Wolfpack is definitely holding their ground, but as I was about to say that, or before it became a caster curse, looks like it was unleashed beforehand, and Ace is now finally back onto the move at this point,
And they're taking the high ground. I really, really like this, and pressuring the Ash immediately. Don't want to be giving Lekurtnek as much room, but the burst, the healing, they know that they want to be diving Lekurtnek on the high ground. The healers realize that and want to facilitate that player. Great job on awareness there, negating the Golden Hook dive.
Well, as we continue to go forward, there we do seem to have a few more turrets being eliminated here by the Soldier. They're doing a good job in the back lines and has remained there pretty much the entire time. Continuing to get those shots out for the time being. The payload is still slowly moving. Finally, it's going to be stopped for the time being. They're hiding behind the outerways. Wolfpack seem to absolutely control. Finally, the push is coming through here. Here we do have Deadly Kitten now on the retreat there, but Deceptive Cynthius does go down as well. And that wasn't the push that the Aces needed to get back into control of the attack, maintain the defense.
Yeah, they'll need to retreat for the time being. And 30 seconds left on the clock, Mendrick, so this is when things start to become very, very intense. And Jeff does have the Ramatra ultimate available, and he doesn't look... Oh, yeah, he is using it immediately to try and snowball that as well. And now the Aces Overwatch 2 squad will be staggered. They'll need to regather themselves because Jeff is doing a fantastic job. Deadly Kitten still has the tactical visor. Aces Overwatch 2 Nano Blade, and they need to use it immediately to get back onto the cart.
Yeah, it needs to be popped at this moment in time as well. You know, as you can see, the payload also, you know, at this moment in time, the thing is going down. This is looking pretty bad here for Aces Overwatch. We hit the overtime now. This is what you were saying before, it just being a number of the being Overwatch things. The Kurtnek now doing the Kurtnek stuff, continuing to be on that high ground, being an absolute menace, holding that line for pumping. He's doing some good damage there, does get Eaglebot and that guy as well. Shasina is down at the end of this, and this is now that final do or die moment for both of these teams.
That just happened. That just happened.
It did.
What a comeback considering the situation, a mountain to climb, the mental fortitude, everything in between, and a well-deserved play of the game from none other than Jeff on the Ramatra.
I feel there would have been a few in there for a bit. Yeah, this definitely felt like it. This was absolutely filthy. Just look at that coming across there. This was what you said, the Wolfpack just seemed to be well and truly in their groove. And their Ramatra pick for on Jeff there was just in full force, and that allowed them to really push through at that moment in the map. And what a well-played position there from the Wolfpack to come back, like you said.
Well, it's really cool to see as well, Mendrix, because the adaptation came in to make sure that it was better against a stylistic comp. That Ramatra really was the key. I mean, I keep on harping on it about it, right? But specifically looking at the Sigma versus Reinhardt matchup at the start, even though Sigma can get a lot of harass from the high ground there to sort of pressure the shield, they didn't have enough burst to really have Reinhardt on the fences. So them changing that pickup to the Ramatra, someone who has innate access to punching through the Reinhardt shield and getting that ultimate up really quickly and just using it as a win condition. They realized it was a win condition so much that they were not using the nano boost on the soldier, they were using it on the Ramatra to get the Ramatra ultimate. So great job on them by realizing such a sort of like simple concept and pushing pushing it through there to the end and taking advantage of it with a lovely comeback.
Yeah, sometimes it really is the fundamentals that pushes you right on through. That being said, that seems to be the final moment here for us. But of course, we can't run away yet without giving a big final shout out to our sponsors, Acer Australia, the presenting partner of the high school series, who provide PC technology solutions for all schooling needs in the classroom and at home. Predator Gaming, the gaming PC partner, who provide high-end gaming focused PC solutions in both laptop and desktop formats, powered by Intel. AOC Monitors, the gaming monitor partner, who provide the best in-class monitor solutions for gaming and all other needs. Indomie, the noodle partner, made with high quality flour, selected ingredients and spices. A plate of Indomie mi goreng will certainly brighten up your day. Try any one of the flavors available today from your local grocer or at indomie.com.au. And finally, but last and not least, Game on Cancer charity, the choice for AEL, who fund much needed cancer research projects within the AEL, or with the AEL donating a portion of all student participation fees to this life-saving cause. If you'd like to donate as well, please head over to the AEL's Titify campaign page and open up that wallet.
Lovely. Thank you very much for that, mate. And yeah, I mean, we are pretty much at the end of it, eh? Pretty much at the end of it.
I had a racket.
That was really fun.
This is our first time actually jumping on board here. So
yes, welcome.
Really appreciate it. You're the Overwatch casting veteran. You're showing me the ropes, showing me all the details there, and it has been a wonderful experience. And hope these guys can do a lot more out there as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really, really fun, mate. And of course, you nailed it. Your time considering, mate. And I hope all the players had fun too, because I mean, you're blessed actually. This has probably been one of our most competitive weeks we've ever had. So props to the teams getting onto that map 3 at the end, and also having a magical comeback at a severe disadvantage as well. So ticking all boxes on all fronts as well. So thank you, everyone. Any parting words, Mendrix?
Guys, keep gaming, keep having fun there. Obviously, do not let your school studies, fail as well. You can definitely balance both of these two things. And we're all here to have a good time and have some fun. And I can't wait to see how you guys grow going forward.
Lovely. You heard it from Mendrix himself. Take care, everyone. Have a good weekend. Thank you for the games. Goodbye.